School Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Yamin of Revolution. The truth shall make you free. Justice for our little brother Nolan Wells. We got some F.B.A. news y'all can use, but before we get into that, y'all be sure to wipe y'all feet. That means hit the like button. You in the revolution. Like, subscribe, support the platform, y'all. Well, revolution is a way of life. Revolution is for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What is it, lunchtime? Well, I got some revolutionary lunch for y'all. Let's get right into the content this morning. Salute, soldiers.
I figured it out. I figured out the Nolan Wells timeline. I know how they mess with the GPS. I figured it all out. I figured out the lies that are based in truth. I figured it all out, and I've got proof. But stick with me because it's going to be a long video, y'all. Now, I found a 15-page Marine Patrol report that had lots of little details that prove that the boys had been lying. So I've already shown how at 1:30 in the morning, the initial Lieutenant Odom with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office said that his deputies spoke with several of the friends who traveled to the island on the vessel with Nolan. And they said that he left in the company of an unknown female and that he chose to remain on the island.
So what was the next step? Did you guys ever engage with police? Or
Yeah, so the first time I talked to police was July 7th. I talked to the lead investigator, and I told him my whole story, top to bottom. Dot every I, crossed every T. I told him everything I knew, every little detail.
Well, that's a lie now, isn't it, Warren? Because you talked to them at 1:30 in the morning that night. I mean, did you just forget to tell the cops about Katie? Because it's not like you didn't know it was her or you didn't know how to get in contact with her.
the girl that he was with, Katie, had texted somebody that she heard people yelling.
Correct.
Nolan yelling.
Yeah, and I have a picture of that. She texted my buddy, and the next day everybody was panicking. Everybody was texting Katie, because she was obviously seeing Nolan the whole day at the island. Katie sent a message to my buddy the next day and said, this last time I saw him, he's really sweet. But she also mentioned that the last time she saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat.
But Katie says that she assumed that she went on the boat after y'all were yelling at him. And let's not forget that the last time you saw him was 3.
Well, the last time I saw Nolan was 3 o'clock. And Nolan was cradling a girl in his arms.
And yet for some reason around noon, the name of another girl who hadn't even seen Nolan in a year was given to the patrol to go interview, saying that she was with that group, not Katie. They also gave the name of a couple of other friends who they weren't able to get in contact with. And despite having a picture of a text message from Katie, funny how you didn't share that with Officer Tatum. Probably could have cleared up some stuff real quick, right? Now let's get to the data. Now, at about 1:30 on July 5th, they were doing a flight of drones based on the relation of the last known anchor position of the Atkinson vessel, which I have documented right here. 4:30, Officer Strickland contacted Jennifer Pyrone, who was Wyatt's mother, who told them that he had already spoken to officers earlier in that day, but they were happy to cooperate with any investigation. And she let this officer take a picture of the GPS. Officer Strickland observed the track line showing Pyrone's vessel location on Horn Island, then gave coordinates. I'm going to need you to remember this exact phrasing. It's going to be important later on. Now, this was the GPS coordinates from the picture that the officer took, meaning that these coordinates had to be a different one that was verbally given over the phone by Wyatt. And you'll notice they're quite different. Now, you'll notice that this incident report says the involved entities are Bart Edmington and Jerry Adkerson, not Wyatt. Even though Wyatt is 18, he should be on this report. And you could argue that they were just giving the names of the people that owned the boats, but somehow I doubt that 21-year-old Bart owns that boat. You'll notice on this report that 2 different pieces of GPS evidence were collected. So now we're going to go to the July 8th report where they came and they took those GPS coordinates from both the Adkerson boat and Bart's boat. Yellow is Bart, blue is the grandfather Jerry. The same Jerry that called and canceled the sea tow as the sea tow phone call was being made. Now, mind you, this is 3 days after the police had come and spoken to the mother and gotten the GPS coordinates. Now, Bart had a germane GPS map chart plotter. Jerry's boat also contained a germane GPS map chart plotter. Now, I had to look up the difference between waypoints, tracks, and routes. So waypoints mark specific spots. Routes connect them in a planned order, and tracks record your actual path. Now, according to that GPS data, there is no movement from 11 to 4:30, but we know that that's not true. Warren has never been able to logically explain how they ended up so far away from the shore. Because according to him, he said at 3 o'clock, that was the last time he saw Nolan. Bart was trying to yell at him to get on the boat. His brother got into a fight, so he got his brother to come over there. That's when he saw that it was all sinking, because he said this.
There's a lot of people on, so it drags water in. And eventually, I think over time, we were out there for a couple hours. The boat just started filling up with water. So I popped the starboard side hatch, and the battery was completely underwater.
Yes, but according to Warren, he had just seen Nolan like neck deep cradling a girl at the boat next to them. So how did they end up in 31 feet of water at the 4 o'clock call? There's an hour in between that. If the battery is submerged, how would they even get away from the sandbar? You can see in the background of this picture, they are far away from people. And yet this GPS is saying that you were stationary the whole time. But why? Especially because we have actual fucking proof right here. We have the coordinates that Wyatt's mom gave them the second time, and the cop took a picture of the GPS. Compare it to the GPS coordinates in which they were trying to get a tow from. But what if I were to tell you that not only does a waypoint need to be physically saved on this exact type of GPS, you have to intentionally say, mark this spot, or else it doesn't automatically save. It records your tracks automatically, but those are just saved coordinates. And it turns out you can actually delete tracks. It's super easy. You just go into the main menu and you delete it off of your data. So why is this GPS data, which is right here, so much further away than what the GPS says it is later? There's no data included in that GPS report that explains them going from here to here, unless someone went in and deleted those tracks, because they probably dropped that waypoint once they anchored, which would explain why Warren said they showed up at 10:30 and the GPS says that they showed up after 11. And so then it wasn't until half an hour after the canceled tow that they dropped another waypoint. And mind you, the exact same GPS was used in both boats, and Wyatt/Jerry's boat has the tracks and routes where Bart's does not. And again, it tracks it automatically. So you have to intentionally delete those tracks. And why did they do that? Well, it turns out Jerry Atkinson just so happens to be the owner of Ocean Marine Group in Ocean Springs and Gulfport, which is literally a boat dealer. So guess who's going to know that information? We already know Grandpa Jerry was in the mix, because the only way that he could have canceled the sea tow before it even started to head out is if Wyatt had called Jerry first and Jerry told him to call for a sea tow and then canceled it for him, which would explain why he couldn't give any descriptions of where the water was. How high was it? We know that the sea tow did not bring in the boat. In fact, Bart's mother came on Facebook and said that there are pictures from my son's boat of the boat about to be towed, which is clearly who is about ready to tow them here, as Wyatt is on the phone. I can tell you 100% that this is not a sinking boat. You can see Bart bringing them in this picture. But Bart was supposedly the one yelling at Nolan to get on the boat, remember? Why would he be yelling at Nolan to get on a boat that's sinking? Unless he was telling Nolan to get on his boat. And Warren accidentally explained what really happened with the engine. Whatever happened with Nolan happened on Bart's boat, allegedly, which is why all of Bart's information was deleted. So here's what happened. Both this one and this one confirmed that there was a fight that broke out on the beach. Started out with him, ended up with Warren's little brother. His uncle says, we gotta go. They hop on a boat and they leave. He grabs his drunk younger brother and says, we're getting out of here too. 3 o'clock, this whole caravan is trying to get the hell out of there because they're drunk and fighting. Wyatt's boat was in such a hurry that they couldn't figure out how to put the freaking trim down, which caused the motor to overheat, quickly stranded them, and Bart had to come help them. The time that Bart shows up, something has happened between him and Nolan. They're all distracted trying to fix the bilge pump because it didn't trim down. The waves were crashing over the boat and into the bilge pump, short-circuiting it. During this, some people have figured out that Nolan is gone. Other people just think that he's passed out or something, which is why Wyatt calls his grandfather to figure out what the F to do. And as the phone call is being made, more people are figuring out something's wrong with Nolan. That's why they didn't start moving again for 30 minutes. They were coming up with a plan and figuring out how to make it work. I've run out of time, but don't worry, I'm doing a follow-up to this video with more details, more information. And if you like my work, be sure to show your support in my bio.
That's the theory currently spreading under the banner of "I figured it all out." It's confident, detailed, and delivered with real conviction, and almost none of it holds up once you actually examine the claims one at a time rather than accepting the narrative as it's presented. Let's start with the core technical claim, because it's the foundation everything else in that video rests on. The GPS tracks were deliberately deleted to hide where a boat actually was. The creator herself, to her credit, actually explains the underlying technology accurately before drawing the wrong conclusion from it. She correctly notes that on marine GPS chart plotters, there's a real difference between waypoints, manually marked specific spots, routes, planned paths connecting waypoints, and tracks, the automatically recorded path a vessel actually traveled. That's accurate, useful information. The problem is what she does with it next. She treats the absence of expected track data as proof of intentional deletion, rather than considering the much more mundane explanations sitting right there in her own explanation. Here's the issue. She states herself that a waypoint has to be manually marked. It doesn't save automatically. If that's true of waypoints, it raises an obvious question she doesn't seriously engage with. How consistently and reliably do these specific devices log tracks automatically in the first place? GPS chart plotters vary significantly by model, settings, and even battery/power state. A track log can fail to capture data for all kinds of reasons that have nothing to do with anyone deliberately going into a menu and deleting anything. A device losing power, a setting that wasn't configured to continuously log, a unit that was turned off between uses, or simply normal gaps in recording that are common with consumer-grade marine electronics. This data doesn't show what I expected it to show, and someone intentionally deleted this data, are two very different claims, and the video treats them as functionally identical without ever ruling out the far more boring explanation first. This matters enormously because of what she builds on top of that shaky foundation, a full narrative in which something happened between Bart and Nolan on a boat, followed by the group spending 30 minutes coming up with a plan to cover it up. That is a specific, serious accusation, implicating a named, real 21-year-old in causing another person's death and then participating in evidence tampering. And it's built entirely on inference, stacked on inference. An unexplained data gap, interpreted as deletion, interpreted as a cover-up, interpreted as concealing a specific violent event that nothing in the actual transcript establishes ever happened. At no point does she have a witness, a piece of forensic evidence, or an official finding stating anything happened between Bart and Nolan specifically. The entire claim is constructed from the shape of missing data, not from anything anyone has actually confirmed. It's also worth noting the video's own internal inconsistency, because it undercuts its central theory on its own terms. The creator herself points out that Bart was supposedly the one yelling at Nolan to get on the boat, and then asks, somewhat rhetorically, why he'd be yelling at Nolan to get onto a boat that was sinking. But that question has an obvious, mundane answer she doesn't seriously entertain, because there were multiple boats involved that day, and get on the boat could easily mean get on a different working boat, his, rather than the one actively taking on water. She raises this as if it's a smoking gun contradiction, when it's just as easily read as an entirely ordinary detail about a chaotic afternoon involving several separate vessels, exactly the kind of multi-boat complexity CBS's actual GPS reporting has already confirmed was part of that day. None of this means every question in her video is worthless to raise. Genuine discrepancies in timeline data, if they exist, are worth investigators examining. That's precisely what actual forensic GPS analysis and law enforcement interviews are for. What's not appropriate is a private citizen, working from a public records request and her own interpretation of consumer GPS technology, publicly declaring she's got proof of a specific named individual's involvement in a death and a cover-up, when what she actually has is an unexplained gap in a dataset she doesn't fully understand the limitations of. Here's what makes this specific theory more dangerous than most of the speculation this case has generated, and it's worth being direct about why. This isn't the first time Bart Edmonston has been at the center of an unverified accusation, and the pattern of what's happened each time it's occurred should be the actual headline, not his name attached to a new theory. Weeks ago, this series covered the first version of this, an old misidentified high school photo of Bart with a young woman people wrongly assumed was Katie McCormack, spun into an online narrative that he had some romantic conflict motive tied to Nolan's death. Bart's response, on record, was direct. He said he didn't even know who Katie McCormack was until this case made her name public, and the photo wasn't recent. That claim was serious enough and damaging enough to his safety and reputation that his family retained attorney Russ Latino and filed formal legal action, including cease and desist demands against the influencer who spread it. That's not a hypothetical consequence. That's an actual defamation lawsuit, already filed, over an unverified claim that turned out to rest on a misidentified photograph. Now compare that to what's happening in this new video. The underlying pattern is identical. Take an ambiguous piece of evidence there, a photo. Here, a gap in GPS track data, and build a specific damning narrative around a named individual that goes well beyond what the evidence actually establishes. The claim has simply gotten more elaborate and more serious, moving from "he might have had a romantic motive" to a full theory involving direct involvement in Nolan's death and active evidence tampering. If the first version was serious enough to generate a lawsuit, it's worth asking plainly why the second, more severe version should be treated as any more credible, simply because it's dressed up in more technical-sounding language about waypoints and chart plotters. There's also a specific detail in this new video worth examining closely, because it reveals how selectively the evidence is being read. The creator notes that Bart's mother posted on Facebook, showing photos from her son's own boat of the group's vessel being towed direct, visual time-stamped evidence that Bart's boat was involved in helping, not causing, a problem that day. Rather than taking that at face value, the video reinterprets it as suspicious, implying Bart's presence and his boat's visible role in the rescue somehow supports the theory that something happened between him and Nolan, rather than supporting the far more straightforward reading that Bart's boat was exactly where multiple other accounts, including Warren's, and the CBS GPS reporting we've already covered, place it helping a stranded, sinking vessel that wasn't his own. That selective reading is the core mechanism worth naming plainly, because it's not unique to this video, it's the same pattern this entire series has tracked since its very first episode. Evidence that fits a predetermined theory gets highlighted and amplified. Evidence that complicates or contradicts that theory gets reinterpreted until it somehow fits anyway, or gets left out entirely. A missing GPS track becomes proof of deletion rather than a device limitation. A mother's photo evidence of her son helping becomes evidence of suspicious involvement rather than evidence of exactly what it shows. Once you're inside that interpretive frame, almost anything can be made to look consistent with guilt, because ambiguous evidence is, by definition, capable of supporting more than one story. It's worth being fair about the parts of this video that are genuinely verifiably true, because separating those from the speculative leaps is exactly the kind of work this series has tried to model throughout. It's true that there was reportedly a fight on the beach involving Warren's younger brother. It's true that multiple boats and multiple friend groups were involved that day, something CBS's own GPS reporting and Officer Tatum's on-location interviews have both independently confirmed. It's true that Wyatt's boat had mechanical trouble, consistent with the "we're sinking" audio this series covered months ago. All of that checks out against other, independently sourced reporting. What doesn't check out, and what isn't supported by anything beyond this creator's own interpretation of a data gap, is the leap from "there was chaos and mechanical trouble that day" to something specific and violent happened to Nolan on Bart's boat, and the group spent 30 minutes coordinating a cover-up. That's the line worth drawing clearly, and it's the one this video repeatedly crosses without acknowledging it's doing so. Step back from the specific claims in this video, and there's a bigger pattern worth naming plainly as this series closes out this particular thread, because it says something important about where this case's public conversation has actually ended up. 10 weeks in, nearly every piece of hard, independently verified evidence that surfaced in this case, the CBS-obtained GPS data, the towing company audio, the MDMR's own official cooperating witness list, Bart's family's formal legal statement clarifying which boat he was actually on has pointed toward the same conclusion. This was a chaotic, multi-boat, multi-witness day involving dozens of teenagers, mechanical failures, alcohol, and a genuinely dangerous stretch of water. Not a clean, contained incident with an identifiable villain hiding in a single data point. And yet, video after video, theory after theory, keeps re-emerging that takes that same chaotic, ordinary tragedy shape and forces it into something more dramatic. A specific person, a specific motive, a specific cover-up, because that version is more compelling to watch, easier to build a thumbnail around, and more satisfying than "we still don't fully know, and the evidence keeps pointing toward accident rather than intent." That's worth sitting with as its own kind of finding about this case, separate from anything about what actually happened to Nolan. 10 weeks of national attention, 60-plus witness interviews, forensic pathologists, digital forensics analysts, GPS data, subpoenas to major tech platforms, an FBI threats investigation, 2 autopsies, and multiple grand jury proceedings in motion. And the loudest, most viral theories keep circling back to unverified claims about specific named individuals, built from ambiguous data rather than confirmed findings. The gap between how much genuine investigative machinery is running on this case and how little of that machinery has actually produced public, confirmed answers is exactly the vacuum that content like this fills. It's not a coincidence that the most serious, most specific accusations keep emerging from independent creators working with public records requests, rather than from the sheriff's department, the DA's office, or any credentialed forensic team actually running point on this case. That's precisely why the standard this series has tried to hold since its very first video matters more now than it did back in July, not less. Genuine skepticism about official statements is warranted. This case has earned that, from the sheriff's clumsy, no foul play comment to the state's slow release of information. But skepticism toward institutions doesn't mean every alternative theory that fills the silence deserves equal credibility. A gap in official transparency isn't evidence that a specific private citizen's elaborate, self-published theory about a named individual is correct. It just means the actual answer hasn't been made public yet, and until it is, the responsible position is the same uncomfortable one this entire series has landed on. Video after video, we don't know, and treating confident-sounding speculation as a substitute for that not knowing doesn't actually get anyone closer to the truth. It just adds another name, another family, and another lawsuit to a case that's already produced more of both than it should have. Bart Edmonston has now had 2 separate, serious, unverified accusations built around him in the span of a few weeks, one already resulting in formal legal action, and this one repeating the same underlying pattern with higher stakes attached. Whatever the actual explanation for what happened to Nolan Wells turns out to be, it's worth remembering that every name attached to an unproven theory in the meantime belongs to a real person, living through the consequences of that theory in real time, regardless of whether it ever turns out to be true. That's not a reason to stop asking hard questions about this case. It's a reason to keep asking who those questions are actually being asked of and what they're actually built on, before treating confidence as the same thing as proof.
To Sam here with a Nolan Xavier Wells update and a TikToker named Faith Lauren, who claims to have been on Horn Island, said she saw an altercation between Nolan and some other people. And this is her statement. This is all allegedly. I cannot verify it, but I thought it was interesting information. Check it out. She says, I have not spoken publicly about this before, but I witnessed an altercation involving Nolan Wells from a boat nearby. What I saw has stayed with me, and I believe it's important information. I have provided or intend to provide my account to the appropriate investigators because Nolan's family deserves the truth. Out of respect for the ongoing investigation, I won't speculate beyond what I personally observed. I am providing this statement based on what I personally observed. While I was on the boat near the area, I witnessed an altercation involving Nolan Wells and several other individuals. I saw what appeared to be an argument that escalated after there was a dispute involving Nolan's phone. I heard Nolan yelling for his phone to be returned. The argument continued after the group reached shore, and I observed a physical fight involving Nolan and multiple people. I also observed a young woman telling them to stop. At that point, I left the area because the situation had appeared to be getting worse. I did not remain long enough to witness what happened afterward. Everything beyond what I personally observed would be speculation, so I cannot honestly say what occurred after I left. Then she said she messaged one of the individuals that she saw, allegedly, who was one of the boys seen on the boat. She says this. Hey, I just want to say I was a passenger on another boat and I saw the argument between you guys, and we'll go to the police with this information. I also have video footage. My husband doesn't show much, but it shows the argument that was taken and how you guys were upset at Nolan because of the young lady. You're a monster, and I promise you will have your out under the jail. Today is the 7th of July. Mark my words, you will be put away for a very long time, you nasty monster. Let's see how this goes once I submit my information. Then she says 3 days later, after the incident occurred, I reached out to him, explaining to him I saw partial of what happened and that I would go to the police, and then he blocked me. You guys think about this. Again, I can't verify this information, but I do think it is important to share. And also, she has faced claims that her TikTok profile is fake, but she explained that she has archived all of her videos because she is getting threats. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments. Secret Service Sam out. Samson for president of the world. Now, then she goes on to say that 3 days after the incident occurred, she said she reached out to him explaining that she saw partial of what happened in the fight and that she would go to the police, and then this individual blocked her. What do you guys think about this? Again, I cannot verify it, but I thought it was interesting information that somebody sent to me.
And this is truly breaking news. Forget everything you know. Forget what the government officials told you. Forget what the police told you. Forget what the boys' lawyers told you. Forget everything you know, because we have verifiable boots on the ground journalism about Horn Island, about the path of the boat, where they stopped, and now the curious missing evidence. What am I talking about? The cameras, the cameras, the cameras, the cameras, not just on Horn Island, but every place that boat was rumored to stop, every GPS stop, it was monitored 24 hours. Don't believe me? Let's get into this boots on the ground journalism to show that the Nolan Wells case just got a huge leap forward. Ben Crump, as far as we know, has subpoenaed all this. We'll talk about the way he may be getting pushback in Ocean Springs, but for right now, let's talk about the breaking news that there were cameras, not just on the dock, but everywhere. Let's go. Okay, so I want to start this off with Nerdy Pink Panda. She does a great job of mapping out the GPS coordinates. That the other boots on the ground journalism is going to blow up everybody's spot, all right? So listen to this. It's only 30 seconds, but you need to know and look carefully at the map to know where everything is, okay?
girl's house that I will call Ava D. Right here in the yellow is where the party was at.
Pay
You could almost
attention.
perfectly plot out every dock that they stopped at on this little trip of theirs before they went to the boat dock.
Okay, there's Horn Island right there.
Okay, this is boots on the ground journalism. This is Bree, Jess Bree. She did God's work and went right into the heart of Ocean Springs, the town that sticks together, the town that doesn't let anybody mess with it. And the information she found, she said, let's go through Nolan Wells and the boys' alleged last moments on July 4th, Horn Island, Fort Bayou, and Lover's Lane. Pay attention to what she's saying, all right? Let's go. This is Horn Island.
Looks like there's a sailboat out there, maybe.
Okay.
It's okay in the water.
That's the island. That is how long it is. It is pretty long, guys. That's the west end, or that's the east end. That's the west end, or that's the east end.
And it's white.
Oh.
And then over here is going to be the west end, and this is the washing machine that they're talking about.
Hold on.
Water is pretty choppy today, but that is the island. There's some houses right there. The next place I'm going to take you to is over by.
So that's the island. And there are some houses, right? There are some houses that are super, super close to the island. However, all these houses that she's about to show you are multi-million state-of-the-art houses with state-of-the-art surveillance systems. But it doesn't stop there. Hold on, y'all.
Lover's Lane, so you guys can see how much housing and stores are over there that have possible footage. But yeah, let's get to the end of this pier. Wait a minute, you guys, there's fucking cameras on the fucking pavilion.
Not just this pavilion, but many people say on every pavilion there are cameras for public safety concerns, but also for security concerns. Let's not forget the people that own these multi-million-dollar houses. They are the high society of Ocean Springs. Ocean Springs is not a place without crime, either stealing boats, stealing things. I'm not saying it happens a lot, but you know how rich people are about their property. Well, I guess anybody about their property. If you come in through the docks, right, you can have boats and break into houses. You can steal, but you can also steal boats. You can steal equipment. Again, it is heavily monitored, not even to mention the flock cameras, but let's keep going.
And they can't even say they don't work because there's a fucking solar panel. Now, I know you see me watching you.
Now, sorry to pause. I just want to point out what she said. Nobody can say those cameras do not work. Oh, it was a malfunction. Oh, electricity. Because there are solar panels next to each surveillance camera that is angled to see every person walking up to the dock and also leaving the dock. This is not just this dock. This is reportedly every dock. But let's keep going.
And I know you see me watching me. There's literally cameras everywhere out here, y'all.
Everywhere.
Every fucking where. Okay, so I have now made it to Old Fort Bayou Pier where they pulled in.
Let's not forget, again, Old Fort Bayou Pier, where they pulled in.
To a stop. This is an oyster house right here, and then next to it is a fireworks stand. Now, I don't see any cameras here, but let me get in my car and I'll show you where there is a camera because I'm too fat to walk. For reference. What's that? Oh, what's that?
Old Fort Bayou boat ramp area. If they stopped in Old Fort Bayou, this is one of the areas they would have had to stop at. There is a camera aimed directly there.
This camera, guys, with a light. Is this nice? For real. Okay, we are now over here. So that is how far the oyster house is. I want to show you guys something. Look at that fancy house over there. Y'all see the cameras? Some lights. I wonder if there's a camera over there. I'll have to go on the other side of that bridge and see what's going on. Now, where the ramp is, there is a drawbridge up there because this is a short bridge, so I'm sure there's cameras up there. They have to have cameras. I'm sure it's a state law.
Cameras, they would have had to go under the bridge. She is sure, and I think so too, in any public thing, they would have cameras. Why? Because it is a drawbridge. The drawbridge is drawn up. You would actually need the cameras just in case there was some type of accident or for safety purposes.
I'll have to look it up. Now, this is where they would have come in at. Look at these fancy houses up here. That man walking his dog.
This is where they would have come in. You guys, these are multi-million dollar houses.
Maybe them.
Again, you would have security cameras aimed toward the water. A lot of people could pull up and do God knows what to the people inside. All right. You would usually, for a price to have cameras. Look at this.
All right, let's go look at some more. We're going to walk on this side of the dock so you guys can get a better understanding of what we're looking at over here. Okay, we are on the other side of the dock. And I want you guys to take a look at this. That's a catfish house. They are definite to have cameras in there. Look at these houses. Can you tell me no one's houses saw anything on their next stop to Lover's Lane? Which one on PT where Lover's Lane is?
The next stop is where they went to on Lover's Lane. Remember in the beginning when Pink Panther outlined where they said they dropped? This woman has gone to every place. And what do we see? Camera after camera after camera. Let's keep going.
That, my friends, is Lover's Lane. And you're going to tell me that ain't questioned. None of them houses. By the way, that's a restaurant. That's a restaurant. So they have even better view.
We see houses, we see restaurants, they all have security cameras, and it is a great view.
But they haven't questioned any of these motherfuckers who own these houses. Look at that. This is historical home registered for the state of Mississippi. No, they have cameras. I'm just saying. Oh, look. My friend's found the cameras. You got something.
We see cameras on the drawbridge. We see cameras everywhere.
All right. We're going to get back on Lover's Lane. I just had to explore the little neighborhood that had to the side there. All right, this is back on Lover's Lane. So this is where one of them home people live. I'm not sure if it was a male or female. One of their shops was here on Lover's Lane. You're going to tell me.
The houses are beautiful.
Not these houses. All right.
Let's go there.
Look at this.
There was a house over there that had the gate completely padded up. You couldn't see through it, so I can only assume it might have been the house. But yes, look at this.
Can we go there?
Yeah, baby. Water on every side with all these stunning houses. I just got to show you. Okay, now we are at the end of Lover's Lane. We're going to go back up and see all these fancy houses. Going over this direction. Zoomed out as much as I could. You get the idea. Look at that. Stunning. Yeah.
Right?
And the biggest house had the most private gate. You'll see all these wrought iron gates, how they're just open, and the people are chill and they don't care. Wait till you see this next one. It's quite interesting. And I bet you $1 million at these houses. Look at this. Now, I'm not going to stop to look at everyone, but make a joke here. Okay. It's coming up.
Here it comes. Hold on.
Go. You cannot see anything to this house.
This is one of the houses on the water.
Gate is concealed.
Y'all
Gates
ready for today?
concealed everything. You guys, this is a huge break in the Nolan Wells case. Even if the police did not subpoena this video footage, it has been less than a month. Ben Crump has sent out subpoena and preservation notices. This includes security. The fact that they're sitting here wondering what could have happened to Nolan, what boats were involved, how many people are on the boats, when those kids pulled up to the pier. When they pulled up to the pier, each pier, whether they were going because, we're checking the boat, or whether they were dropping people off, or whether they were just floating by, there should be surveillance. There should be the surveillance of them going under the bridge. There should be, and again, this was in the afternoon. There should be surveillance of them going under the bridge. There should be surveillance of them going back. There should be surveillance of them on Lover's Lane. There should be surveillance on Fort Bayou, from restaurants, homes, private homes, public security cameras, on top of flock cameras. Let's not act like rich neighborhoods do not have flock cameras to catch thieves. They have $1 million boats, $100,000 cars. Yes, those trucks, Ford F-150s and stuff, actually do go up to $150,000, right? Hundreds of thousands, or at least tens of thousands in cars, equipments, and God knows what else is in that house. Again, this changes everything. It has to be security footage. Now, the interesting thing is, will they get security footage? Again, will people cooperate? Now, with security footage, I think they keep it for somewhere between 30 and 90 days. I think it would be interesting if we saw that everybody erased their footage from July 4th, 5th, and 6th all around the water. But we have public security cameras, we have private home cameras, we have businesses and restaurants, and we have cameras that are on the bridges that they passed over. You guys, this is a break in the Nolan Wells case. Now, funny thing is, when they had all this footage, did they actually review it? Well, that depends on if you believe that the authorities are actually operating in the interest of the deceased, or whether they've made up their minds that It was an accidental drowning, and now they're doing their best to protect their family and friends from any criticism. Why would they do that? Well, listen to this little outline. Hold on, y'all.
Is Nolan Wells info drop? So first off, we remember these GPS coordinates that were plotted for us, remember? Those
Yes.
GPS coordinates were taken from Wyatt's boat and they were plugged into Google Earth, and they developed a PowerPoint slide that we saw there that mapped out all of the points. So I decided to overlay those Google points on top of the points of the research that I'd already been doing. I discovered some interesting stuff, because if they were just overlaying it on Google Earth, it should have been easy as cake, right? Well, I cannot tell you how many hours I spent trying to perfectly overlay this. Like, look at the islands in the middle here. I get them lined up, and then other things won't match up. Like, you'll notice, like I said, these islands, look, they aren't moving, but everything else around it isn't working. So right away, my instincts are telling me that somebody manipulated this image to cover something up. Of course,
Now, why they would, we'll see, but let's continue.
that is alleged. I can't prove that, but you know, it's supposed to just overlay. So honestly, I just did the best I could, and I mostly just focused on the top half, trying to get like the
Okay.
marina and the grandparents' house they went to all line.
Now, we saw just from Bree that she went along the path, obviously on the road, not water. And there are cameras every single where along the path that they passed under. You see the bridge down there. And also that they passed under, but also the docks that they pass. There are cameras. And I'm willing to bet, because those boats were not yachts that had under deck, everybody that they said we should be able to see from the time they left Horn Island, how many people were actually on the boat.
I know. So now we can really follow which way this boat was driving and the kind of stops it seemed to be making. And if you'll notice here, it goes right next to that marina that I was telling you guys about,
The marina have cameras. We saw them.
with the Marty McGrath, which is who, according to Katie, that she got a ride from. So they passed the marina, and as you can see, it juts out almost like it was pulling up to this dock. And then there's these two houses here, especially this house, where it
Cameras.
seems like the boat pulled into the docks there. Then it went all the way down here. There's a little like lock area here, so you have to go through here. And it went to the bridge. And
The bridge has cameras going and coming for public safety reasons.
I was like, why did they go all the way to the bridge to turn around? But it turns out right here is a big old fishing pier. Then right next to that is the Ocean Springs Yacht Club.
The yacht club is covered in cameras.
And a lot of these families are connected to the yacht club. Before I go on, I want to play a portion of this audio that's supposedly like a voicemail that has been going around. It has been authenticated, but it has important information because
Okay, so you guys, as you listen to this, please remember and keep in mind this has not been authenticated. But like she said, it does have information. Please do not take it for the truth of the matter asserted. We are looking more at the tone and I believe the emotional aspect of the call. Let's listen.
I'll be honest, it sounds genuine to me and it works with my data. So hold on.
But he was like, oh, I'm just going to go back with Katie. We'll be right behind y'all. We were all going to the same house, the same place. He was like, I'll be right behind y'all. Y'all go ahead without me. I'll see y'all. Like, I'm literally going to be right behind y'all, whatever. So, Wyatt and all them left because they were like, okay, he's going to go with Katie, whatever. Well, then everybody got back in and we were all at Ava's house. And
So first off, all of us were going to go to the same place. I'm going to go in with Katie, meaning Katie was supposed to be at that party with them, or at least whoever Katie was with was supposed to be at that party, right? But that's not the important part. The important part is the name of the person who was throwing the party was Ava. Now, I found Ava. I'm not going to put her name out there, but simple Google searches will
attention to
find this
this.
information. And I was able to basically just Google her name and find her address. And so the party was actually right in this yellow area. Again, I'm not going to be like pointing out people's houses, but I found it. After they leave this pier that's right next to the yacht club, they go all the way back and then they hook around and they go right next to where the party is. And then that's when they finally go and take the boat out of the water. Now, it seems to me like they were dropping people off, like Because look how it goes in a little bit, almost like it was pulling into this pier at the marina, like I suspected. And they were just making the rounds, dropping people off before the party. Now, her family and Wyatt's family, Warren's family, they're all connected. They're also part of the yacht club stuff. All of these rich families are super close, super connected. They're taking each other's kids on vacations, etc. Well, like just in May, there was a joint birthday party. In the background of this birthday party from the beginning of May, there's Warren's mom, there's his little brother, and right there in the background is the mayor of Ocean Springs, Bobby Cox. In fact, here's another picture of him from the party, just in case that profile view wasn't enough for you. Oh, and he was tagged in the picture. Oh, and remember Lieutenant Carone, the first person on the report that we see when
Lieutenant Caron was the one, I believe, got the first call and was investigating Nolan's disappearance, I believe.
Nolan's mom called him missing. As it turns out, someone that he's related to, I can't pinpoint exactly how the relation is, but their maiden name is the same as his last name. Yeah, turns out they have the same last name as who? The girl whose party it was. And I have confirmed that that woman is mutual friends of the mother of the girl who threw the party. And I'm going to go ahead and just wild guess theory. This is alleged, but I'm going to go ahead and guess that the reason they waited so long to tell the mom was they were waiting to make sure that he was on shift. This is why I'm thinking more and more that they brought Nolan back to the house. Everybody got their stories straight and stuff. And then they waited to tell Nolan's mom until he was going to be on his shift and taking that phone call. Which is probably why nobody was sent out to look for him that fucking night. That's why we don't have any footage of them going back to the grandparents' house up there. That's why no pictures from this supposed party ever came out.
Listen, it is an interesting theory. Super interesting theory. Again, we do not know what actually happened, but I feel like we're getting closer to truth. I feel like Nerdy Pink Panther's theory is really giving us something to think about. Again, if the tow call was planned, and if somebody was setting up an alibi, and if you had connections to the local law enforcement, and you're setting up an alibi, if you wait until 11 to notify the mom when you're connecting the law enforcement actually starts working, then that would be the perfect thing. Because then they wouldn't go looking because everybody already knows what happens. And they would just tell the mom. And then the way the sheriff was like, oh, yeah, it looks like an accidental drowning. Again, if they thought everybody was on the same page, and if it was just an accident that happened and there's no point in ruining these boys' lives and, things like that happen, and they agree, well, they would think it was perfect. The only thing, if this is what happened, because who knows, right? It could also be nothing. He could have just naturally drowned. But if this was the plan, then the CTOW call, they literally outsmarted themselves because the CTOW call is the thing that chipped away at everybody's story and narrative. Again, nobody knows what happens. Everybody's trying to find out. But what do you think in the comments? Again, I'm just trying to find out, one, what happened to Nolan, and two, in the wrongful death suit, why did the police wait so long? What did Warren and them tell the police? And the police was like, oh, they're fine. How did Warren call somebody's mom and say they're missing and then go to bed, not care, and not contact the mom again for any reason? How did that happen? What actually is going on? Again, we are talking about how someone passed away, and we're also talking about the wrongful death suit that's coming up, because in the wrongful death suit, it's not the point that anybody purposely hurt someone. It's, could people have done more? And if they did more, would that have prevented somebody from passing away? At this point, I think we need to look at everybody's actions. What do you guys think? Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Willie D Live.
What's up, family? TMZ caught up with famed attorney Ben Crump in New York City, asking him about questions regarding Nolan Wells' investigation. Yeah, well, this had more to do with civil suits that could possibly be filed against him and content creators. Yeah, fam, they're coming after the civil rights attorney for trying to protect a family's civil rights. Who are these guys? So that's Tyler Cox on the left there, and then you got Edward Andrew Pausick. He is the defamation attorney. Not sure what the other guy does, except get money. But the one on the right, that was Trump's attorney. He helped Trump in the CBS Paramount suit. He also helped sue the New York Times, and it was BBC. BBC, I remember, countersued, and that suit went nowhere. See, and that's all you got to do is follow the script. Like most of these defamation lawsuits that get filed, they're frivolous lawsuits. Most of them just meant to scare people into silence, right? Now, some are worthy of being, respected, being considered, right? But many more are all about trying to silence people, and this is what is suspected of happening right now in the case of Nolan Rhymes and all the people who have a plethora of commentary to add. Now, Ben Crump was asked specifically what he thought about these dudes who say that they were Nolan Wells' friends lawyering up, and Ben Crump said straight up, it's a distraction. I ain't got no problem with that. It's a distraction meant to cause confusion, meant to throw people off their game, meant to perhaps make people stop thinking about the economy. I say to all of the content creators out there, all of the lawyers out there, everybody out there who it just has an opinion about the case, I say stand on business. Stand on business. If they sue you, sue them back. Anybody can sue, just like they can sue. You can countersue. You can go on the offense. You ain't got to be on the defense. You can go on the offense. And one thing about it, those lawsuits cost money. And it also costs money when you're found to be in the wrong, when you're found to be liable. And so you got to pay those attorney fees back. So when you file in these defamation suits, you better make sure you game on. And here's another thing about those defamation suits. When they file a suit, they can't drag you to Mississippi. They got to file the suit in the county you live in, and they got to come to your backyard and prove their case. Yeah, But that's been the history of America. It's always been like that. It's always been like that. I would be very skeptical of anybody who has represented Donald Trump. I would be very skeptical of anybody who has helped him to circumvent the law. Yeah. Now they're coming off like they're really the good guys. They're trying to come off like they're the good guys. Remember the source. I'm wondering, I'm going to find out too, did Trump refer him? Did Trump say, hey, man, go over there and help those youngsters out, man, who they're trying to say that killed Nolan Wells. Go over there and help them out and tell them I sent you. So if they got Trump attorney, then you already know what type of people they are. If they're using Trump attorney, see, I'd never worked with an attorney that has helped Donald Trump circumvent the law, dig into the pockets of media personalities who were simply just reporting the news. Nah. Ben Crump said it's a distraction. He said that, this is what he said when they caught up with him when TMZ caught up with him in New York City. Crump said that one thing that matters, there's only one thing that matters to him and Nolan's family, and that is getting to the truth about what happened. That's what they want to do. They want to get to the truth about what happened. Ben Crump says calling in such big guns is just noise, and finding out how Nolan died is what's really important. Yeah. So these lawyers say that they're going to go to Horn Island on tomorrow to get a good look at where Nolan disappeared and was found dead. What that's going to do? That's what I want to know. Y'all ain't no investigators, so what you going to do? You're just going to get a good look. You can look at the videos and get a good look. Yeah, you can look at your client's phone and get a good look. I'm looking forward to the day that they have to hire defense attorneys. That's what I want to see. I want to see them hiring some defense attorneys. Worry about these grocery prices going up. Worry about the pain at the pump, healthcare, childcare, mortgage rates, rental rates. The price of everything, has skyrocketed. And I do believe that, I think that the fact that they hired a Trump attorney was definitely strategic. It was definitely strategic. And it is meant to try to intimidate. I think that's what they're trying to do, trying to intimidate. Now, you tell me how that works if Trump runs the FBI, who is arresting people on one side for threats, but not the other side. And now they bring in Trump's attorney to act on their behalf in going after content creators and lawyers for speaking on the case and commenting whether evidence is taking them. So they go out and get a Trump attorney. Now, what is that? What are people supposed to make of that? There has to be something there in the form of a distraction. And perhaps they're bringing in Trump attorneys because that is a Republican county. Bring in Trump attorneys. Now you got the people in Mississippi, all of the officials in Mississippi, they're getting even more support because we know Trump is supportive of the people who are being accused of harming Nolan Wells. We know that. We know that for a fact. If you just had to take a guess, which side would Trump err on in regards to this Nolan Wells investigation? You already know your answer. He's definitely going to ride for Nolan Wells' so-called friends. Now, here's the deal. If Nolan Wells' friends was acting like true friends, they wouldn't have to worry about getting lawyers because nobody would be talking about them like they're talking about it. Warren Hudson, Jack Patello, Patello, Morgan Seymour, they all enlisted the help of attorney J. Tyler Cox and defamation lawyer Edward Andrew Palcic. That's the one, the Palcic dude is the defamation lawyer. He's the one that is going to go after everybody. I wonder what that'll look like. What if everybody countersued? What would that look like? They'll be trying to get out of that courtroom sometime in 2065. Personally, I don't think that content creators and lawyers have anything to really fear. I don't think that none of these people, because that would set a precedence that nobody want to deal with. If they could get away with that, you might as well shut down the entire freedom of speech. You might as well shut down journalism altogether. That's why ABC brought Jimmy Kimmel back. That's why it was so many journalists standing on behalf of John Lemon. And that's why they're not going to be able to convict Don Lemon. Because if they convict Don Lemon, it's a wrap. It's over for all press. Ain't no such thing as free press. And free press ain't already ain't free anyway, free press, because there's a lot of liability come with that. That's why you see retractions all the time in the media. When the media get it wrong, or they put out some misinformation, they retract. But when they report on something that they are passionate about or something that they have facts on, they stand on business. And it's a fine line, but it's one that the media tightropes on a daily basis. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.
D Live.
What's up, family? Somebody is nervous. Yeah, fam. Ben Crump and Al Sharpton are closing in. Yeah, they get nervous out there. Yeah. Why are they getting so nervous? Why are they all of a sudden getting so loud if they're not afraid of anything? If they're innocent? Why are they getting so loud? Who are they? Nolan Wells' so-called friends, their attorneys, and dun, 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 the uncivilized mutts who make threats against people who support Nolan Wells' family getting justice. I want to read something to y'all, fam. Check this out. This is from a dude that was on Yahoo. His comment stood out because of the nature of how asinine it is. So when all of this is said and done, and these kids who are white are found innocent of all wrongdoing, can they sue the Wells family and the attorneys they hired who are making this about race and thinking because these kids are white that they caused Nolan's death? Okay, let's go back to the top. The first question. So when all of this is said and done, and these kids who are white are found innocent of all wrongdoing. So there's a presumption here of innocence, right? As there is a presumption of guilt. So what makes him so right and everybody else so wrong? He and many other people have been talking about how people are rushing to judgment. Well, just like you can rush to judgment to proclaim that somebody is innocent, guilty, you can rush to judgment to proclaim somebody's innocence. Right or wrong, fam? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Call a striker, striking a ball, Dave. Yeah. So now he talks about wanting to sue the Wells family. What he's doing, he's trying to plant the idea of suing the Wells family, dog whistling, right? Let me tell you, uncivilized much something. Attorneys are allowed to advocate on behalf of their clients. They can ask questions. They can demand justice. They can say what the law enforcement should be doing and what they should not be doing. Do you know how difficult it will be to get a verdict in your favor against an attorney who is advocating for his client who is the parents of a young man who lost his life tragically while hanging out with his friends, his alleged friends? I don't think I've ever seen a campaign so aggressive to shake off any type of accusations. This is actually from Trump's playbook. This is the type of stuff Trump do. Even when Trump knows he's guilty as sin, Trump always sues. That he has made it a point, no matter what, guilty or innocent, I'm suing. So it looks like that's the type of play that they're trying to run, which is, again, it's not going to work for everybody else. I think it works for Trump. It won't work for everybody else simply because it would set a horrible precedent. And that's just not going to work. It's not going to work. Now, if they could keep all of the legalities in Mississippi, it could work. Because Mississippi is corrupt. The rest of the states are corrupt too, but Mississippi, man, Mississippi stands on the Mount Rushmore of corrupt states. Yeah, the officials in Mississippi, I have zero respect for, man. They are corrupt inside out. And you know what's really bad? There are people who are under them. They have subordinates. There are people who they are training to be just like them. Then, when they go home, they're training their children to be like them. Look the other way. If you see something, don't say something unless it benefits you directly. The whole idea of suing, see, this lets me know, that's why I say, fam, you cannot have any compassion for these people. They're real, and I hesitate to call them people because they're more like things, nothings, right? Something like that. Like it's almost like they were made in a lab because they don't have the regular or standard human emotions, right? They don't have like empathy and compassion. They don't have those type of traits. It's something very demonic about them. And you know, like in vampire movies, you take a stake and right to the heart. Demonic. That's the only way I can think of like that. But here's the deal, fam. You can't be so righteous that you're not willing to make contact with them. When I say contact, I mean bring them to heel. You got to go all out. And make sure you don't miss. Can't miss. You got to make sure you complete what they call, what's that little cry? Finish them. You got to finish them. You got to have that type of energy. Otherwise, you won't be successful. You got to have that type of energy for them and anybody else. Anybody on their team, you got to have that type of energy because otherwise you can't defeat them. See, this is why evil runs America, and evil really pretty much runs the world because, see, evil people will do anything. Evil people are willing to do anything to get what they want. They'll do anything to get what they want. Good people are not willing to do anything to get what they want. Now, when it comes to material things, I'm absolutely not willing to do anything to get what I want. But if you're talking about saving my soul, maintaining my peace, protecting what's mine, I am willing to do anything. And I do mean anything. That's why I stand with it. So if you ain't got that type of mentality, you're not going to beat the regular old everyday evil person. You're not going to beat them because they're evil 24/7. They wake up evil, go to bed evil. They think evil all the time. They don't take a break. So that's why when you go up against them, and you got to get them 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times more than they could ever even imagine that you would come with. That's how you get them off you. And that's how you make sure they stay off you. And that's how you also put the word on the streets. You see, you got to make them out of an example. That's how you do it. I just gave you the play. You would think that being a human being, a person would at least, for the sake of optics, hold off on attacking the mother. Shouldn't be attacking the mother at all. Shouldn't be attacking the father at all. But you would think, under the current circumstances, that a person would at least put their uncivilized behavior on pause. No, fam, they double down. That's that devil. That's that devil in them. That's that tainted blood. That's that poisonous soul. Yeah, that is the vile remnants of their ancestry. Yeah, man. Yeah, you got to look at it like that. You got to understand what you're dealing with. And then you wouldn't be surprised when you hear them saying stuff like that. Like, I don't even get surprised when I hear them. They don't, like, some people get really, really upset when they read comments and stuff like that, and they hear them saying certain stuff. Because I'm about that action, it don't move me like that. Does it enrage me? It does. But they'll never know it. And I'll never show it. You understand what I'm saying, fam? You got to know how to match their energy. You got to know how to turn it on, but also turn it off. They don't know how to turn it off. They turn it on and it's on forever. If you are a decent person, you got to know how to turn it on. You got to be okay with turning it on. I know decent people be like, oh, no, I'm not doing that. Oh, no, I can't do that, to get revenge. I just couldn't do that. I could. I'm a decent person, good person. I don't bother nobody. I stay to myself. I just look out for what I'm supposed to look out for, take care of my business, But, the uncivilized mutt come looking and I get an opportunity, I'm just going to go ahead on and, do the right thing for the community. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to do the right thing for the community, do the right thing for America. One of the things that baffles me is how frequently I hear people call Ben Crump and Al Sharpton race baiters or race hustlers. It's absolutely incredible how they do that. And they only use those terms for Black people who seek justice for Black people. Like, as if no other race seeks justice for their own when others are suspected of harming them. It is absolutely amazing how they do that. And I'm sure, they'll start trying to come for me at some point, because they just ain't got no other talking points, But it ain't gonna work for me, It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna nearly work on me. All it's gonna do is motivate me. It'll just make me go hard. It'll let me know, yeah, I'm getting under their skin. It's working. Yeah. Must be doing something right.
For the day, and I came across a Nolan Wells interview, and it was touching because we're used to seeing videos like from TikTok or just videos or a picture, something without sound. This right here, it gives me some type of insight of how his personality was. Well, give me more, because like I said, we've seen videos of TikTok with him and his friends doing dances and all of that, but I never heard his voice. There's a difference between just seeing somebody and how they acting versus how they convey themselves. But yeah, let's get into it, y'all.
How you doing? I'm good. Well, you've been having a big season so far this year, man. Tell us about it. How does it feel coming in for your senior year?
I mean, it's great. I'm just happy to, play with some of the best friends.
Yeah.
I play with all my life.
Yeah. You gonna privately graduate, eh?
I probably will.
Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that. All right, so Nolan, you've been one of the leaders on the team, especially through some of tough games like last week. How do you personally bounce back from a loss like that?
Really just like I'm trying to flush it, because like once it's over, you can do nothing about it.
Right.
Trying to have a good mentality for the next coming week.
Yeah.
Play hard. Play fun.
Matchups you're excited for the season? Or are you just taking each game each week by?
I'm ready for the go for it game.
You're ready to go for a game.
That's what I want.
That's been turned into y'all rivalry.
I want that one.
Yeah.
Man, the truth is, we got sons, we got nephews, we got cousins, we got somebody that reminds us of a Nolan Wells. We got athletes in our family. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is us. We have no choice but to keep fighting for our people that's being unalive and nobody getting held accountable for it, y'all.
Or are we talking about the anomalies like a Miss Rachel, who is now getting death threats and unfollowed just for saying black boys deserve to live? Because one ain't enough. You got to believe the history and not the anomaly. And if you look at how the actions have turned out, people like Miss Rachel are the anomaly. And all she want to do is educate kids. She said black boys deserve to live. And we look at that like, shout out to Miss Rachel, that ain't heroic, nigga. That should be the standard.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many people, how many black people died singing those same sentiments? What good nature? Or they get online and they start talking about code switching. We know what code switching is. If we know what it is, that's good enough for us. Fuck them. You care too much. They can't take anything away from us. It's not to give away. They can't steal code switching. They can't steal it. They don't have to do it. They're liars. They're living a lie. They're frauds. They're thieves. Why are you wasting your time on liars and thieves and niggas who are frauds? This is the point of MAGA. This is the point of Turning Point USA, to reinstate the tenets of white supremacy under the umbrella of Christian nationalism and the political power of the Republican Party, because illiteracy aids in bigotry. This is why there's a push for anti-intellectualism, because at the core of racism, at the core of colorism, misogyny, and homophobia is ignorance. And they're directly threatened by the educated populace of America. What does Miss Rachel do? Educate. So somebody who has dedicated their life to education and also taken on education and also is an educated person, understands the ignorance of racism, colorism, misogyny, homophobia. Because at the core of it, it is ignorance. What they say, the truth will set you free. Knowledge is power. The information is the elevation.
Yep.
All these cliches,
right.
And they're cliches because they fucking true. And they're threatened by the educated populace of America. They're threatened by the history of Black Americans and Black American intellectuals. Otherwise, why is there a push to ban our literature specifically?
That's right.
Why? Where's the good nature? I'll say this, since we want to talk about the hair. Are y'all still going to Black-owned beauty supply stores? Are y'all still supporting your brothers and sisters in that respect? Are we still finding Black nail techs? Are we staying down with the boycott? Are we holding the line?
Man, Dante been cooking for a minute, bro. His words are so inspiring. Also, I want to give a shout out to all the white people out there who don't even have to come out and say anything, but they have been stepping up and saying things on our behalf, and they're showing their faces. Shout out to y'all, man.
Service Sam here for a Nolan Xavier Wells update. And here is something interesting. As we know, the autopsy showed a red area on the back of his neck. We also have heard little allegedly allegations that the boys on the island, when they were fighting, some people said that there looked like some people who were like MMA fighters, like jujitsu fighters. Now, we also know some of the boys involved have taken jujitsu, right? Stay with me. Now, if you notice, this is a jujitsu or martial arts chokehold. And these types of chokeholds, they don't fracture anything. They just suffocate the victim and unalive them. And I'm not saying anything. This is all allegedly. But what if it is possible that this is what happened to Nolan and that he was choked? And wouldn't that make sense why the medical examiner would not include his throat, the lungs? Is it possibly because he was asphyxiated, choked? I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments? Let me know. Secret Service Sam out.
That would make sense if they would have came out and said that the throat or anything wasn't fractured. But they ain't come out and let us know shit.
Make sure I'm understanding this correctly. Nolan Wells went missing on July 4th and his body was found on July 6th. And now, on August 7th, his so-called friends, Warren and Jax, decide that they're going to do their own investigation over a month later to try to figure out what happened to Nolan Wells. And they decide to visit Horn Island with their lawyers. And while they're there, someone snaps a candid photo and then sends that photo to TMZ along with the message that the boys were just an emotional wreck because they were back at the place where they last saw their friend, Nolan Wells. Now, here's my thing. If I'm not mistaken, didn't Warren already visit the last place that Nolan Wells was seen with Officer Big Bad Body Built? I'm confused, and we didn't see not one tear, no emotions in the interview or during his little field trip. But they say that Nolan Wells was a brother to them, and they're just good old Ocean Spring boys. What? And let's not forget that Warren's stepmother, Judge Ashley Cole, was the first one to try to put out a statement to tell us about his whereabouts on the day that Nolan went missing. And then, in addition to that, his father has finally decided, after they announced that the autopsy in Mississippi was complete, he announces to TMZ that he's putting a $50,000 reward out for any information about what happened to Nolan Wells. A month later. At this point, between TMZ telling us a bunch of nothing and the antics and the show that is being put on, they have to think that we don't got no sense. They can't think that we smart enough to see through smoke and mirrors.
That's exactly what they turned this into, a shit show. I wouldn't even be surprised if they offered some type of TV deal or something like that. Y'all pay attention to what he say, because I'm hoping that this does happen.
So what we
TMZ is at it again. They're saying Nolan Wells' friends overcome with emotion visiting Horn Island. Why are they going back to the island with their Trump lawyer to discover emotions? We haven't seen one bit of emotion thus far. All we know, in fact, they deleted social media profiles. They went on Officer Race Batum Tatum's podcast. The last place you should have gone for credibility. You should have only spoke to the authorities, but they thought it was a good idea to go talk to him. Big mistake. And so the lawyers take them to the island for what? Like, you really, I need to see this video. And TMZ, everybody is asking, who is paying you? Allegedly, who is paying you to report like this? This is the most unbiased reporting we have ever seen. And TMZ, you are single-handedly losing all credibility by reporting on this case in the way that you are.
Bro, TMZ making themselves look so bad.
Go back to reporting on bubblegum celebrity sightings. TMZ, stay in your lane, because this is not your lane. Harvey, do you hear me? What's going on? How much? How much are they paying you? I haven't seen you say once any reporting on what they're doing to Christine Walmsley, the mother of Nolan Xavier Wells. I haven't seen you do one article on her and the harassment, the threats, and the terror that she's had to go through since this happened to her. Can you please get on that? Thank you. See,
that's real. The way TMZ be defending them boys, it was like you would have really thought that they lost somebody in their family. What the hell are you doing? You ain't saying nothing about Nolan Wells' mom or anything like that. That is foul. She lost her baby, bro. She lost her son. And y'all ain't got nothing to say about that? Nothing to say about her being harassed? This is wild.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of people are tired of this subject and nobody wants to talk about it. Well, certain people don't want to talk about it, but we got to keep talking about it. A lot of people are asking now, saying something that I have been saying for years. If Nolan Wells had lost his life due to a drowning, drug overdose, aneurysm, heart attack, or anything like that, why would y'all not say it by now? Why would you not? At this point, it needs to be out. Like they said, the autopsy is complete, but they're not going to publicize the autopsy. You should. You should. Because if there's a lot of people out here, you know, creating a lot of tension in the public, if there's some threats being made to the family of, you know, the people that he was with the day he lost his life, if the autopsy is if the results of the autopsy are going to say, hey, these people were not responsible for him losing his life. This is what happened. It was a drug overdose, an accidental drowning. You know, he slipped and fell. There was an aneurysm, an aortic rupture. There was something that they did not have anything to do with him losing his life. This is what happened to this young man. That would calm down all of the, you know, all of the negative energy surrounding this this situation.
But they can't do that. Why did they take the lungs? Why did they take the throat? Why can't they come out and say that, yeah, he drowned, you know, it was a mistake? Because it wasn't, y'all.
And the fact that you have not done that, it doesn't do anything but draw more suspicion. Mm-hmm. So if that is the case, please go ahead and put it out so the family can get closure and people can go back to what they can, as close as they can get to a normal life. That's what a just person would do. But the fact that you haven't done that,
it's telling. Says a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, man, that's all I got for y'all today. And the main thing that I wanted
you for coming on. And
Thank you.
for people who don't know, Trent and I met during the Diddy trial that we were
Yes.
covering. So we
Yes.
became good friends during that.
Yes.
And I always appreciate you, Trent. You always like give me good advice. You always, you know, let me up, you know, in on whatever is going on. You're always such a great collaborator.
Thank you.
So let's get into this. Everybody saw your video where you were on TMZ going in on Harvey, which I loved. And you and I were just talking about how TMZ, first of all, is owned by Fox News.
Yep.
They're single-handedly losing any credibility they had over this Nolan Wells case. And I was just telling you, they need to stay in their lane of celebrity gossip BS, right?
Yeah.
Because they're getting into this, you know, they have TMC DC, which I like. But I think they're getting a little bit out of their comfort zone, and they're consistently defending the people who shouldn't be defended at all. They're covering Ashley Cole, how they're having all these threats, and they're suing for defamation. And we've heard there's been 3 people arrested for threatening them, but we don't hear them talking about Christine Walmsley. We don't hear them covering how the Nurse Institute in Mississippi filed an investigation into her by some anonymous guy. Like, Harvey and them need to wake the F up and get on the right side of history and start doing unbiased reporting, because right now, and I think I speak for a lot of people out there, we don't trust TMZ. We think that they are playing for the wrong team. And what was your experience when you were on TMZ? And just run us through that a little bit.
All right. First of all, I just want to address the first thing you said. You and I are friends in real life offline.
Yes, that's right.
I want to
People don't know
highlight that. Highlight the fact also too that you also give me a lot of good advice too. So thank you very much for being a good friend and colleague. And third of all, I say this in my Instagram post when I talked about you, but I wanted to say it on your platform. Sam is being who he has always been, an advocate and an ally for the Black community, not just not just on Instagram, but in real life. And I really feel like that's important for the audience who is not like me to privy to know who you really are in real life. You're being who you have always been. So thank you very much for being an advocate and an ally to my people and our community. We really appreciate that.
Trent.
You have always been invited to the cookout. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I didn't just get my invitation. That's what I think a lot of people don't realize. I'm a comedian. I've been in the Black community of comedy my entire career. And I've been speaking this way for many, many years. It's just all of a sudden people, and I see a lot of people are hopping on this story. And I'm very happy to see like white voices speaking up, because we need more. But yes, no, I appreciate you saying that. So
no problem.
So tell us about TMZ.
Yeah, so to answer TMZ, so I just, get invited to come on, like, okay, cool. And, Harvey's doing his thing. It just so happened to be the day when the first arrest came down. And ironically, the arrest came for Lauren's stepmama, Judge Ashley Cole. And they're making a big deal. And they use these wordings like, a first arrest in the Nolan Xavier Wells case. I just saw it on CNN today, because now we have a third arrest. And I hate the fact that they're saying there's been an arrest in the Nolan Xavier Wells case. And then the people who are only reading headlines or hearing things are like, finally there's arrest. No, that's nothing to do with Nolan or his case at all.
It's crazy. Literally clickbait.
Yeah, it's clickbait. And it's also what it's doing is clickbait, but it's also helping them turn down the temperature, because people hear arrest Nolan Wells, and it's arrest from people making threats to a white woman. And now, don't get me wrong, no threat to any race at all is good. I do not condone that in any sort of way. But how ironic that a white woman says she gets threats, and in 24 hours almost, there's arrest. But Christine, a Black grieving mother, has had multiple threats since day one. Since July the 6th, we've been covering this. When they found his body, she'd be getting threats and no arrest for her. So this is the first thing I brought out to TMZ, and the first thing that I called out with Harvey. And if you go back and watch the clip, which is on your Instagram, my Instagram, and my YouTube channel, you will see that Harvey completely ignores the question and starts talking about Nolan's arrest. So that was the first experience.
That was the thing, just to interrupt you for a second. I noticed that you said, what about everything you just mentioned? He said, well, no, they're, to be fair, we don't know if there is foul play. We have to wait. And it's like, you didn't hear what he just fucking said.
I literally asked him that. Yeah, I said, where are the arrests for Christine? He's like, well, the arrest. There's been no arrest in Nolan Xavier Wells' case. I'm not saying there's no foul play. I'm like, excuse me, I asked
That's
you
not
about
what I
Christine.
asked. I asked about the people threatening Christine, not about the people who are responsible for what happened to Nolan.
Exactly.
Yeah, continue.
And then we went on to my next issue, why I really wanted to be there. And I wanted to address, first of all, the fact that they keep on highlighting and bringing out distractions, like Warren's dad talking to the New York Post saying that he may want to sue or he might sue Benjamin Crumb. You know how many people say they might want to sue somebody? Why is TMZ running that? But again, it's headlines. You're trying to scare people, a scare tactic. So I said, Harvey, this Benjamin Crumb and Judge Ashley Cole, that's just distraction. We need to be talking about the important things. Justice for Nolan Wells. And then he goes on to say, well, we have the boat picture from former Officer Tatum, which everybody has seen. And then I said, you know what? Thank you for talking about that, because I want to know something. How come you guys are pushing this video? And Harvey, the thing that's most shocking to me is Harvey literally says, Nolan is not on that boat. He doesn't say, based on the picture, nothing. Harvey Levin, from his own mouth, you could see this. He goes, Nolan was not on that boat. And I'm like, Harvey, how could you say that? The investigation is not over yet. Government officials, the police haven't even said that yet because it's still an investigation. But Harvey is saying Nolan wasn't on that boat based off of a picture that you got from former Officer Tatum. And I said, Harvey, have you done your due diligence? And have you asked him for the metadata? And Harvey says, we've seen the metadata and there's two witnesses. Well, one, those two witnesses only came about after the audio. The audio came out, right? From Janetta, who I think you've had her on your show
Janetta
already, right?
Brantley. Yep.
Janetta Brantley. And all of a sudden, everything is supposed to be sealed, but then all of a sudden that audio comes out. We hear the names, and then there's two witnesses that saw Nolan after 6 p.m. hogwash.
Right.
And I asked Harvey, where's the metadata? Because these pictures could have been taken when former Officer Tatum went and interviewed them, because they went out to Horn Island. Maybe they recreated that. I'm not saying it's real or not. I'm just saying, where's the metadata? It's 2026. And Harvey said he's seen the metadata. And it's been 6 days. I've asked Harvey for it, cannot produce it. And the next person's neck I'm on now is former Officer Tatum. He's been in my DMs. I've been challenging him. He just said yesterday, a video I just posted on my YouTube channel, he asked me for an interview. He said, I want to interview you or talk about it. I offered him to come on my platform, and now he's ghosted me. He's left me on red. And it's been 6 days.
Which is crazy.
No metadata. Sorry.
Right. And again, Harvey, where are these two witnesses?
Yeah.
Where are these two witnesses? You have no proof of them. And again, why are you platforming Officer Race Tatum? Yep. Why are you platforming a real racist? Like, why are you giving that guy any light? Because here's where I think TMZ is losing all credibility. They were the ones who TMZ always gets the first video, and you're like, how did they get inside this guy's bedroom to get this sex tape? So what TMZ, why is Officer Race Tatum giving you the breaking videos? It seems too closely connected. And then can you talk to us about some of those the text exchange that you've gotten from Officer Tatum? Because I even got an email. This guy sent me an email and he said, Sam Adolf Hitler Kruppen, Officer Tatum sent us. So I'm like, so Officer Tatum is sending his people to harass me, which is freaking disgusting. I'm Jewish. And I'm like, you're calling me Hitler? Like, what did I do but being on the right side of history and just doing what's right? So run down some of your messages with him.
Yeah. So I have two videos on my page if you want to see the whole thing. I'll tell you just and highlighting them. So I said, hey, I'm on TMZ. I was on TMZ Friday. I asked for the metadata. Where is it? And he said, I have seen it. The boys have it, this or whatever. And I'm like, I would like to see it. Right. He said, okay, hold tight. I'm going to reach out to them. He said, we were talking Monday. Well, it was Monday night, technically Tuesday morning at 1:30 in the morning. He said, look, it's late. I'm going to reach out to them and get back to you. I waited 24 hours. Wednesday, I was like, yo, what's going on? He didn't answer me. So I said, listen, just to be fair, I'm just putting you on notice. I'm about to do a video and post on my YouTube channel and on IG, on socials, saying that you and Harvey are lying because you said that you're going to get me the metadata and you haven't been able to. Yeah. Now, In my video, I say this. Harvey says he got the metadata and the video from Tatum, right? Now,
right, which is already bad news.
If he got it from Tatum and the metadata, how come Tatum has to message the boys at 2 o'clock in the morning and ask for the metadata? Do you see how that's a lie right there, right?
Yeah.
Harvey said he saw it, he got it from Tatum, but Tatum doesn't have it. He has to ask it for the boys. Anyway, so I made my video. Then he comes out in my comment section, and he says, bro, you're looking for clout. I told you I'd react. I am not in direct communication with these boys. I'm waiting for their response, and you jumped to make a video. I didn't even have to answer to him. People in the comment section were like, you are the one looking for clout. You're the one totally disrespecting Nolan, his mom, making videos and doing all this stuff. So I didn't even have to answer him. Then he goes into my DMs and he says, there's a lot of moving parts. I'm not in direct communication with the boys. I attempted to reach out and haven't gotten a response. Let me pause there.
Yeah.
Either he's lying and they just don't have the metadata, or maybe they're not responding to him because they're done with him. Maybe
if Harvey and them are smart, they would not be platforming him anymore.
Maybe the elite in Mississippi are like, hey, black podcaster, YouTuber, you've done your job.
Yeah,
we're done with you now. Now you're out the circle, and now maybe Tatum is out back in the fields. He's no longer a house guy. Now he's back in the field. Now maybe that's why they're not responding to him.
Back in the fields, Tatum, they call him now.
Oh, I love that. Y'all come up with the best names for him. So he's like, I haven't gotten a response. It's disingenuous to say I'm lying. You can say whatever you want. I will show these messages like how you are showing these messages to show that I am responding in good faith. Then he goes, interview me so I can explain my position if you want to have an honest discussion. So I waited. I answered back to him. So I said, so I wrote back, I said, you've been promoting this video for weeks, and I cannot believe that you don't have the metadata, but let's move on to the interview because I think it's better. I said, all I want to do is have honest discussions. I would love nothing more than to hear you explain your position, and I think others would like to as well, because it's very confusing why you have this position of literally just wanting an apology for the boys. Your position and my position has always been what's happened to Nolan. The same thing like Benjamin Crump, Al Sharpton, and Christine. Why is your position only about the boys and not finding the truth? He left me on red for 12 hours.
Oh my God, I know how painful that can be. What? My son's always like, Dad, she left me on red.
Yeah, right? So then I wrote back and I said, you said you're going to get me metadata. I waited 24 hours and nothing. Then you said you wanted an interview. You asked for it. I agreed. I said yes. And now 11 hours, nothing. Did you have to mention the boys again and ask them permission to be interviewed by me? Are you waiting on them, or are you scared to answer the difficult questions? Once again, you asked for this interview. This is a heads up. I'll use these DMs for my next YouTube video and let people know that I have no choice but to assume you're afraid of answering difficult questions. He has not answered me yet.
Shocking. Yeah, I think you might be right. Officer Race Tatum might be back in the fields, Tatum.
There you go.
And I think that's what a lot of people like him don't realize is white people don't love you. They just love to use you. And I keep reiterating this point that people like him make a living off comforting white fragility. And there is a lane for that. You know what I mean? It's funny. There's not as much of a lane. And people have called me, oh, you're the white Tatum or whatever like that. And like the big difference is, no, and I try to articulate it because I'm not taking up this fight for Nolan Wells so I can be in with the black community or so I can make all kinds of money. And I'm not saying wild shit. I'm just asking the questions that everybody else is asking. I'm speaking the truth. And I'm not making up lies. I'm not saying I have information that I don't have. I'm not making crazy accusations like he is. And there's such a huge difference because throughout history, there has constantly been somebody like him who has sold out his own race to benefit white fragility, thinking that when it comes down to it, they're going to have his back. But like we just said, when they're done with him, he goes back to the field.
That's it.
He goes if he's causing trouble, like I believe he is, like he is single-handedly kind of botched this whole case. He's given us the interviews with those boys, so we're able to pick apart what they're saying and compare that with timelines to where, like, well, this doesn't make sense. You know, we're able to see their character. Like Tristan, you know, he like, yeah, man, this guy wanted to fight me because he didn't like the way I was talking to my old lady or whatever. It's like, what have you seen like a young guy or a young black guy say my old lady? Like
that's 100% what stood out to me too,
dude. I'm like, Jordan Peele predicted all of this. Like, they are all in the sunken place. Like, there's that one barber who claims he cut Nolan's hair, except this guy's beard. I'm like, dude, no way anybody let you cut their hair with a beard like that. Your shit is dirty. Maybe a white person let you cut their hair, but like, I know you were not cutting Nolan's hair. And again, he's in the sunken place. We're hearing, you know, they put up the assistant black coach. Like, I hate when they push black voices on us to push a white narrative, to calm us, to be like, hey, you know, they always say like, you know, Officer Tatum's like, and they were black. And he said this and he was black. Like, they always say that, like that's some validating point. Like, just because you're black in Mississippi doesn't mean you've had to assimilate for survival. You know what I mean? If you're telling me somebody in Atlanta is saying this, somebody in Los Angeles, you know, that's a different mentality. But people don't understand that being black in Mississippi, you have to assimilate to a certain set of rules to survive. And then after doing that for so long, they don't, I don't see racism. You don't see racism in Mississippi, then where else are you going to see it? You know?
Right? What are you talking about? Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm very surprised that guy got through the Don Lemon filter. Like, I don't know if somebody messed up or, I mean, they're getting a little bit of traction, so maybe, but I heard Don himself say, hey, this guy is not a friend of the family. I said yesterday he was a friend of the family, but he's not a friend of the family. And Don has to retract these things. So I don't know how he got through the Don Lemon filter to make it on the show. Very, very surprising.
Either. I am too. And that guy, he's all over online saying Don Lemon lied on me and all. It's like, no, man. You just exposed yourself to the truth of what, you know, anytime like you're coming out and if you're not asking these same questions, because that's the thing, we see the surveillance footage where they left, you know, everybody says Nolan was on that island. And I just have this picture in my head of him on the island all by himself. Does that make sense? Without a cell phone? And then what you think he's going to say? Well, maybe I should try to swim back to land. Like, that's just, nobody's going to do that. If that actually happened and they want us to believe, you know, they said he stayed with Katie. Katie said he got on the boat. So they both excused each other. Then if he's left on the island, he's going to stay on the island overnight. You know, you're going to sleep. You're nobody in their right mind. I don't care if you're Greg Louganis or I don't know, the best, you know, great swimmer. You're not going to try to swim back to the island. So, and the fact that, you know, his grandfather even said that he's just like, we searched all night for him and then he pops up the next day, you know, and I was even saying today, I think we need to reverse the way we're thinking about this in the sense that asking ourselves, did that sea tow, we're picturing the sea tow call on the off the island in 17 to 31 foot of water, but the coordinates that were given were in shallow water, so they wouldn't have been sinking. Also, we've seen with a bilge pump that, you know, you're not going to be sinking like that. And we see with these alleged fights, Tristan said his uncle said, get on the boat. It seemed like they all kind of sped off because something had happened. And it's just asking us, is it possible that that sea tow call did not take place on the boat, that it could have taken, you know, we're coming back to that pool party. And again, to the metadata, we still have not been, it has not been proven that that pool party was from June 27th. Like they say, there's the guy with USA shaved in his chest, which that seems like a 4th of July, good old boy type thing to do. It doesn't seem as much. They're saying, well, you know, America was in the World Cup, and I can kind of understand that, but the
I didn't hear that
birthday and it's MAGA country, it makes way more sense that the dude is shaving his chest for the 4th of July, you know? And so, and you know, Judge Ashley Cole I'm sure you've seen the text message that she sent to
sure.
Christine Walmsley, which was on Officer Back in the Field Tatum's podcast. And the text just said, "Hey, Christine, if and when you ever want to reach out, I'm here. Here's my number." And I don't even think she said I'm here. I'm going to pull it up to be exact
I think there's
about
something
this. But,
similar to that.
right. But is that something that you like? No condolences? Like
So sad, right?
It's so like literally, okay, here it is. This was Tuesday, July 7th. Nolan had just been found the day before. So do you think you're going to say, Christine, this is Ashley Cole. If or when you ever want to talk to me, this is my number.
Yeah.
Like, does that sound like there's no, oh my God, I'm so sorry, we're here, whatever you need. And sorry, I'm having my floors done downstairs. So if there's some
I was wondering, I'm like, I know that's not on my end. Okay, go.
Yeah, sorry about that. If it gets too crazy, we can we can cut it short today. But so Christine, this is Ashley Cole. If or when you ever want to talk to me, this is my number. So they didn't have each other's numbers. Warren claimed that Nolan was his best friend. In the interview, Warren says, yeah, I mean, we lose people all the time out there. I've had a lot of friends, that I've lost out there. And then almost in the same breath, he says, I've never had anything like this happen to me. Right. And then, Warren doesn't go to the funeral. I had Judge Carlos Moore on the other day who went to the funeral and none of the friends that were there on the boat went to the funeral. Like, why? What is going to keep you away from your best friend's funeral?
Totally agreed. So
Going on my head, my cousin. I got it.
she's a judge.
Yeah,
She's a judge.
that's a good point. She was definitely there behind the cameras during that interview with Warren. And obviously she lined it up because, and again, going on Officer Tatum's podcast just shows your alignment. It shows your ultra MAGA. It shows you like how everything you view this world and this country line up, which is a lot of racism. You know what I mean? It's just like it's not like they went on a regular news network that was a little bit more respected and non-biased, even if they would have gone on TMZ, that would have made a lot more sense.
Because, of course they're going to do Tatum because Tatum is going to listen to every single thing that she says. She is the director, the executive producer and everything, allegedly. Right. So, and you know what, like when you really think about it, as you know, I'm an advocate for Christine. Of course, my heart goes out to Elmore as well, too. But I have a soft spot for moms. And I think we should all have a soft spot for moms. We all have come from a mom, right? So that's how you know, even though that I am not on the side of Judge Ashley Cole, she's a mom and she's mama bearing and she's protecting Warren and protecting these boys. So this to me is Christine versus Ashley Cole, Judge Ashley Cole. And the difference is that we have right on our side. We have justice on our side. And some people say I'm optimistic. Some people say I'm naive or whatever. I still believe that the truth will prevail and shall prevail. And I feel like, and I pray that Christine and Elmore are victorious because they have asked for one thing since the beginning. They just want to know the truth. And the truth shall always set you free. So whatever it is, if it's the three boys, if it's somebody else on the line, or even if it is that accidental drowning, Christine has just asked for the truth. And as long as she gets the truth, then she and everybody has been on her side, me, you, and all the other content creators, we win because the only thing that we've been asking for is the truth.
Exactly. And I think if it was an accident, we would have known that from day one. They would have released the autopsy. And it's so tragic. I have so much love and feel so much sadness for Christine and Elmore, the family, because like I can't imagine losing your son and then being smeared by people and having an investigation go into your work for being a bad nurse and people leaving 1-star ratings. Like, it is so despicable. And then I see people on the Ocean Springs, it's like their Talk of the Town Facebook group where they're saying, oh yeah, she's just gone on a tour and she's loving the fame and da-da-da-da. And it's like, you guys all worshipped Erica Kirk, who literally did all that, who the minute her husband was gone, she's like bragging about we made $200,000 on t-shirts and like literally doing that, but they were silent and they wanted all of us to shut up about that.
Hold on. 200,000, son. They've raised over 150 million.
No, this was just the merch at the funeral. She was like, at the merch at his funeral, she was bragging about it. You know, I mean, it's just so the double standards are through the roof. Then you see in these comment sections, we're not racist. And then some, black woman's in the comments saying like, no, this is racist. I've lived here. And somebody goes, well, if you were acting like an N-word, then you're going to get treated like, I love it. People are like, we're not racist, but then they follow it up with a racist statement,
Yeah.
It's really disgusting how the family has been treated. You're like, we didn't ask for any of this.
Facts.
You know what I mean? They didn't want any of this. Like who wants to be famous for that? You know what I mean? She's just a very strong woman and she wants answers. And I even thought it was disgusting in the interview how Trayson is like, bringing Crump in here 1,000%, bringing the racial divide. And, we're good. We're harmonious with everybody. And it's like they don't know who they're messing with. And it's like you're talking about your best friend's mother who hired a lawyer to get justice to find out what happened to your best friend, and you have a problem with that? Like, that tells me right there you have no love for Nolan because you should want, oh, thank God Crump's here. He's the best. I want him to get to the bottom of what happened to my friend. Like, the way they're all projecting away from it makes it even more suspicious.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, if I'm right or wrong, who's directing Ashley, this publicist, lawyers, or whatever, I agree with you. They're doing a horrible job because they're totally forgetting of the fact of they're on there saying my best friend, my boy, my boy, my boy. Hey, dog, if something happens to you, okay, we're not best friends, but we're good friends. You think I care about LA? You think I care about what's going on or whatever? Yo, what happened to Sam? Like, that's all I care about.
Yeah,
if your wife and your kids bring whoever it is in town to create an uproar, why do I care what's going on in LA? Why do I give a crap about that? Hey, are we getting answers? Are we getting money? Are we going to find out what's happening to my friend Sam? Yeah, that's all I care about, bro.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Hey,
it's crazy.
Hey, quit talking about this. I don't want to manifest now.
Yeah, facts.
No, it's it's like, and going back to like your point, like we all want the truth to come out, but what I do fear is that in reality, they are going to come out. They are going to say it was accidental, or they are going to say there were drugs in his system and that's what happened. Deal with it. Case closed. And when that happens, we are going to see marches, protests, rioting, like I don't think we've ever seen. Like, I think this is, when Mike Brown got shot in St. Louis, that started the Black Lives Matter movement. That exploded the U.S. wide open. And I think this thing is even going to be bigger than that, because if Mississippi is smart, they're going to figure out who did this, or it's literally Mississippi will be burning. You know what I mean? It's like, it's, and I encourage everybody to go watch the movie Mississippi Burning, because they have so much racist history and like really in a special way of what they've done. And so to see like people on there be like, yeah, man, like that barber who was like, look, we got black people marrying white people now and having bites. It's like, that doesn't mean racism.
Ginger hair kids. Stop
hair
it,
kids
bro.
running around. Like, just stop it. Get out of the sunken place. It's just disgusting.
Facts. Something else that you said that I wanted to touch on. Is the fact that these witnesses, these two witnesses, but just to also say something about Mississippi before we go back to the two witnesses, is that I heard somebody saying somewhere that they feel like this might be bigger than George Floyd. And like how you just said, where there's been things that have created the Black Lives Matter movement. And yes, there's some questions about that. And then things that happened with George Floyd. And I agree with you. I feel like this case could be the thing that actually changes the way the US and Black relations content creators going forward. I feel like, of course, we want the truth, and of course, we want everything. But I feel like this might be the moment in time where everything shifts. We have seen in the past 3 or 4 months, Ashley Janae, shout out to Ashley Janae's parents. I went to their funeral. I was the only content creator out there. Then the Carmelo Anthony case, and now Nolan. So I think these three, we've reached to a bowling point, a tipping point.
And Cyrus Carmack Belton kind of is what started the, Rick Chow getting off for self-defense for shooting him in the back. And the week later, then Carmelo Anthony claims self-defense and gets 35 years, and then literally Nolan pops up missing that third week.
Exactly. And then we have the Tyler Smith and Daniel Irving, and there's so many
of them. And I think you're right. I think it will be bigger, because what the racists love to say about George Floyd is he didn't die from that guy sitting on his neck. It was he died from a fentanyl. They try to say he was a drug addict. They said he stole $20 from the store. They always try to paint you as a criminal. Mike Brown stole something from the store and was running away. And, that was a whole hands up. Don't
What are you going to
shoot.
say about Nolan?
Exactly.
Perfect kid.
And I think, unfortunately, I think that's what's so unfortunate about this is because they can't smear his record, even though they're trying to. They're going to try, and they've already tried to say, Officer Race Batum Tatum, well, I heard they were doing cocaine. You're like, so you're going to tell me the black guy's the only one doing cocaine out of all those white kids? Like, I'm not buying that.
And me neither.
And they're going to try and say he was the only one. Then the friends will come out. Friends can't even call that, the enemies almost. And they'll be like, yeah, man, we tried to stop him. We told him, your football career is too important. Don't put that shit up your nose. But we already can predict what the narrative is going to look like.
100%. So a couple of things on that. And I don't want to forget about the two witnesses, because I have something really important to say. But let's just say we're talking about the white powder. Let's say we're talking about even the drinking or what have you. Just remember, everybody, even if that is the case, that doesn't mean that he deserved to lose his life. And that doesn't mean that we haven't, that either of anybody here that's watching this or will watch it, that you haven't been in the water when drinking, partying with your friends. That doesn't mean that is an excuse for him to lose his life. One. Two, we also have to remember that if and when the autopsy comes back, the state one or the second one, and it does say he drowned, remember what Dr. Roger Mitchell said, the person who's doing the second autopsy. Even if he did drown, how did he drown? Was he pushed? Was he conscious? Was he unconscious? So we have to remember these things to prepare from, like what you said, the hit piece. Oh, the white stuff. Oh, he drowned. No. Yeah. How did he drown? And we all know that viral clip that I'm sure you've seen it, because I know you're up on everything. But these two friends that were like 40 in their 40s or 50s on this pier, where one guy pushed the other guy, he hit his head on the ledge.
Saw that.
You saw that, right? And then the best friend takes him, throws him in the water. He doesn't know what's going on. And he's just like, you asshole. Throws him in the water. The guy loses his life. So did he lose his life from drowning? Technically, he drowned. But no, what happened is that his friend pushed him. He hit his head, and then he drowned. So if you hear an autopsy that Nolan drowned, just remember what was his state before he went into the water.
Exactly. Now bring it home with the 2 witnesses.
Please. The 2 witnesses, very important. Timing, exactly when we heard the audio. And how come we hear that everything is going to be sealed until the grand jury, but then we hear these 2 witnesses and we hear nothing of these 2 witnesses. Who are these 2 witnesses? And did they say they saw a black man? Did they saw that? How do these people know that it was Nolan Xavier Wells? So when you hear 2 witnesses, Harvey used that against me too. I saw the metadata and there were 2 witnesses. We just saw the report from the Cajun Navy, and in that report, they put out this picture with a black man with blue shorts walking with 3 white women in bikinis, and they're like, this might be Nolan. So are these 2 witnesses somebody that they're witnessing, I saw a black man on the island at 6 p.m.? So again, don't be fooled by the propaganda. Don't be fooled by what TMZ and ABC says, because these 2 witnesses, they may just take the stand and say, we saw a black person. How do we know that these people knew who Nolan Wells was? There was thousands of people. Are these 2 witnesses going to say, I saw Nolan Xavier Wells, I know who he was? Probably not. So do not be fooled with these 2
And
witnesses.
even if they do, can they be trusted? I would need to see video evidence, because I don't trust anybody in Mississippi that is not going to be playing along, because there are these kids involved have very powerful parents, and they're very well connected. And going against that grain is life threatening for people. 100%. So I don't think it's very hard to have somebody be like, we need you to come forward and say you saw him on that island. You know what I mean? And swear up and down and go to your grave with that testimony. And then
that will be up to a jury. Yeah, that'll be up to a jury to decide if they believe him. Hopefully the court system will do that to see if they are, what do they call that in court, where they're character witnesses or whatever the witness is. They have to go through a legitimate witness. There's this name for it, but you know, before you could go up on the stand, we have to solidify that you are an eligible witness to make these comments. But I will be very surprised if they could say, yeah, I knew who Nolan Xavier Wells was, and I saw him on land at 6 p.m. That 2 witnesses things irks my soul, because a lot of people heard the 2 witnesses and were like, okay, that's it. Those boys are exonerated because these 2 witnesses says they saw him at 6 p.m.
But then the audio, they're like, no, that's doctored. They don't want to.
Exactly.
You know, that's like the only real piece of audio evidence we have in this audio, which, you know, they try to say we didn't hear what we hear, and they're saying there's that paravideo, whatever it's called, where you hear what you want to hear, or you see words displayed and you hear that. And I could see that in some of the call. I could see once you see the text that, oh, okay, I didn't hear that. Now I hear. But there are certain things, the damn it, Bart, the oh my God, the is he dead, the Nolan. We, you know, even say we don't hear anything else, we hear Nolan. And I don't think, you know, you hear Nolan, you hear damn it, Bart, and that makes you ask questions. And did you see Bart's football coach came out to make a statement? It's like, why the hell is he even talking? Like all these people who we don't need to hear from, and it makes it seem more suspicious when you are talking. It's like, we don't need to hear from his freaking football coach. Like, that makes no sense.
Yeah, 100%. I saw you actually post that. And I put that in my show today on YouTube. And like, if you listen to that carefully, I took that a little clip out. He said Bart is not a suspect. He's not a suspect, and he hasn't been a suspect. Okay.
Yeah.
Then he says there has been no information tying him to this case. What?
Like,
the
what? Are you serious?
of him to say
Damn
that.
it, Bart. Yeah.
You can say he's not a suspect, but Warren literally came out and said Bart was on the island and Bart told us that you are implicated, sir. So
exactly. And how about the fact where he's like, now he doesn't have a defense attorney.
Yeah.
Now he does have a attorney for the defamation, Russell Latino. It's like, dude, why is the football coach giving us all that information? It's like, were you set up? You know,
there you go. It's like you said. It's there you go. It's these powerful people.
Yeah,
it's exactly the powerful people handing the script, maybe potentially handing them a bag, maybe threatening, doing something, I don't know, allegedly, like you always like to say, allegedly.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta throw a few of those out.
But it is weird that Officer Tatum, now we know from facts, and by the way, everything I've said today is facts. I know there's a lot of internet slews, this, whatever, blah, blah. If you rewind and watch this whole thing, my whole thing is I talk about facts and receipts. We do have Tatum in my DM saying they have not responded to me. So now we know if we're taking him on his word, the boys are not responding to him. And if you take that DM and you pair it with the things that you just said, the guy on Don Lemon, the football coach, are they trying to find another Tatum? Is Tatum back in the field, like you said, field Tatum, and now we're looking for a new spokesperson? Is it going to be the coach? Probably. Or maybe it's not going to be just one person, and now it's going to be a plethora of people to try to make it hard for content creators to go after them. Well, excuse me, you're messing with the wrong people because we ain't got nothing but time. Right. Sam will be on it, I will be on it, and all of the homies and all of our, compadres, you're on it. It's what we do. You know what I mean?
Yep. Like we said today, that what the content regulators,
exactly.
Regulators,
exactly.
Our
colleagues. That's what
I said, Mississippi, we have our eye on you. It's all eyes on you, and it's not letting up. You know what I mean? Like, not until we get some answers. Well, Trent, this was like a great conversation. I really appreciate you. Do you have anything in closing you want to tell people? Or, I mean, I think you just pretty much hit it.
In closing, we want justice for Nolan Xavier Wells. And
Amen.
Regardless of whatever side you're on, remember, we all come from a mom, and please give Christine grace. Say whatever you want, but I think we should all handle Christine with a little bit of grace. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, amen. Well, thank you so much, Trent, for coming on. Everybody, make sure you follow Trent at the Trent Out Loud Show. He's giant on YouTube. He's killing game. He's one of the best investigative reporters in the business, and a good friend of mine. And we will, definitely have you come back on so we can keep this discussion going. Because, like we said, when it's not Nolan, it's Daniel Irving, or there's Kendrick Johnson. Like, there's so many of these kids to talk about. So you have a beautiful day, my friend, and I hope to see you soon.
Hey, Sam, I have a question. I've been on your show a couple of times. Am I like an alumni? Like, am I one of the people who've been on the most?
You're the most regular. You're the most viewed guest on my show, for whatever that's worth, man.
Love that brotherhood. And also, I want to ask too, is everything going on okay with your head?
I know.
Cancer?
It's so bad. Yeah, people are worried.
No, it's not bad, but
but I hate that I have to wear this stupid Band-Aid. What happened is I had skin cancer. And so what they did a biopsy first. It was a basal cell, which is good because melanoma is the one that hops around. So basal cell, and everybody, I always joke, this is the one thing white people don't have the complexion for the protection for.
Yes.
But they like dig. It's called a Mohs surgery, where they dig like a little hole. And as long as they get it all out, then they're done. Thankfully, they only did one dig because it's like, I could take it off and show you. It's healed up. It's pretty close where I don't have to wear this stupid thing. But they got all the skin cancer out, but I have to put a Band-Aid on and put like a little Neosporin Vaseline underneath to heal the wound that it is, because I had it on my neck, and oh my God, they took 2 scoops and it was like a huge hole in my neck. It sucks. It's right in the middle of my forehead, my money maker. But to anybody who thinks I am great, thank God, it's like the best cancer to get because it's basal cell. And
Nobody wins when the family feels.
Came down here. Hinds County coroner says this case is classified as a death investigation, and authorities have not yet determined how the woman died. Been determined.
My son and them seen her. They seen her hanging.
What was going through your son's mind when he saw that image?
It messed his head up. Messed his head up, man.
According to the Hinds County coroner, a graphic image of the body in the tree posted on social media does appear to be from the scene.
A woman found hanging from a tree behind a Jackson house has been identified, and that case is raising new questions tonight.
They can provide to get this hanging case solved quickly. We need to have someone in handcuffs as soon as yesterday. Where you go, they talking about that hanging. I don't care where you go, to the grocery store, to get something to eat, people talking about that hanging.
When the stove on, you gotta believe somebody cooking, right? Fam, one question always caught my attention. It's we in 2026. And every time a black man or woman is found hanging from a tree, people don't just ask what happened. They ask whether they getting the whole story. And it's a reason for that. You see, a recent civil rights report citing the Crimson Record Study argues the questionable hanging deaths over the last 25 years deserves a closer look. Then in 2025, the deaths of Trey Reed and Tory Melly once again sparked national conversation and left families questioning the official findings. Now, unfortunately, another family is searching for those same answers. Over the past 72 hours, a family in Mississippi has been demanding answers after a 29-year-old woman, who we'll later identify in the video, was found hanging from a tree Monday in the backyard of a vacant home in Jackson, Mississippi. Now, for some strange and unfortunate reason, this is the second major tragedy out of Mississippi that we've discussed within the last month. For those wondering, Jackson, Mississippi is about 165 to 170 miles from Biloxi, Mississippi. And depending on your exact starting and ending point, the drive is roughly 2.5 hours via I-55 South and I-10 East, while the straight line distance is around 150 miles. We all know that the Nolan Wells case happened near Horn Island after the group launched from the Ocean Springs, Biloxi area. So although these incidents happen to be in different parts of the state and are not known to be connected, as of yet, there are both cases where families continue to search for answers. Today, we're going over everything publicly known about this new case. We'll identify this young woman, learn more about who she was, see if there's any public information that shine light on why she moved from Kentucky to Mississippi, and examine the facts surrounding her death and see exactly where this investigation stands today. But before we go over this one, I want you guys to remember, I won't give you no angle. I just give you the story. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We'll jump right to it. After going over this story, it was a comment that I wanted to bring to you guys' attention. It was someone who lived in this area and gave their perspective. They quoted, "Lived in Mississippi for a brief spell. The segregation is so fucking real. Go to the green room for pool/billboards one night and tell me there isn't anything effing wrong. My heart weeps for this woman and her family." This man was speaking on Tasia Fortune, a 29-year-old mom who was found hanging from a tree earlier this week. With so many unanswered questions, one can assume foul play was involved. Now I want to run some numbers by you guys. The most common S is firearms, which is at 57%. White individuals account for 85% of all S in America. Suffocation only accounts for 23.5%. Their definition of suffocation includes more than just hanging. At what point do you, the person who believes these are all S, question the logic of that assertion? Given the fact that black people do not commit S at the same rates as other groups, nor is hanging a particularly popular form of S for any group in this country, let alone public hangings, public spaces, or in the open. Given the history that black people have with this method, truly, what are the chances that every single time we see these articles, it's a S? At some point, we have to admit foul play is on the table. Now, Tasia from Kentucky, she moved to Mississippi, from according to my research, since about 6 years ago in 2020, when she had her son with a man who's also from Mississippi, David Echoes. But here's where things get strange. Tasia House was a home located on 4240 West Capitol Street in Jackson, Mississippi. It was a home she apparently rented out, but if you look on Google Maps, not even a year ago, but last year in November of 2025, the house looked abandoned. It looked like it was abandoned for some time now. But on Monday, August 3rd, 2026, 0.3 miles away from Tasia home, a body was found hanging from a tree at the 500 block road of Remembrance in Jackson, Mississippi. But here's the thing. For days, authorities didn't identify the body, but people in the neighborhood knew who it was, which makes you wonder, was this someone she knew?
And a coroner says this case is classified as a death investigation and authorities have not yet determined how the woman died. On the road of Remembrance, neighbors cutting grass at what used to be an old community park as one man remembers a familiar face who was found dead under what appears to be mysterious circumstances.
She was a good person, you know. She's very rooted in the neighborhood.
She didn't deserve to be to get killed and die like that, hanging from a tree.
Officers found the body of the unidentified woman hanging in an oak tree when they responded to the 500 block of Road of Remembrance Monday night, behind what appears to be a vacant house.
She had two kids, a young baby she just had maybe a year ago.
The woman hasn't been identified and the cause of death hasn't been determined.
My son and them seen her. They seen her hanging.
What was going through your son's mind when he saw that image?
It messed his head up. Messed his head up, man.
According to the Hinds County coroner, a graphic image of the body in the tree posted on social media does appear to be from the scene.
It's scary. I mean, I don't know what happened. I just know it's directly in front of my house. It was that close to comfort.
Despite speculation online and among neighbors, investigators have not said whether they suspect foul play. Darren Harris says he knows the woman. He last saw her about a week ago. It looks like the woman's feet are suspended 3 inches from the ground.
Somebody had to do that. She wouldn't have did it to herself. Somebody had to.
Why do you say that?
Mine was way strong and bigger than that. I know that for a fact myself.
4 days later, the Hinds County Coroner's Office identified Tasia on Thursday, August 6th, 2026. At that point, images and videos of her body has been floating online. Fully dressed, jeans, belt on. It seemed like no SA was involved, including her top. They say she was about 3 feet in the air. How did she get up there? Tasia family is making it clear that they want answers. And a fundraiser organized by her aunt, relatives describe Tasia as beloved, a sister, a daughter, and friend, and a vibrant young woman. The family say the loss has shaken everyone who loved her, and that they leaning on their faith while preparing to lay her to rest. They also said they believe justice will be served. The fundraiser is helping cover the funeral expenses and the final arrangements for her family. The family's language reflects its grief and desire for accountability, but investigators have not classified Tasia's death as a homicide. The investigation remains active as of Friday, August 7, 2026. Hinds County Coroner Jemiah Howard said Tasia's body was transported to the Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office for an autopsy that will determine both the cause and manner of death. Authorities have not publicly said whether investigators were considering foul play or S. Some reports have suggested that Tasia may have been at the location for several days before she was discovered. She reportedly been there for 2 to 4 days. However, the Mississippi Free Press reported that it remained unclear how long her body had been behind the vacant home. With the timeline not publicly established by investigators, the exact amount of time should not be treated as confirmed.
Well, a woman found hanging from a tree behind a Jackson house has been identified, and that case is raising new questions tonight.
That's right. A city councilman says that federal authorities need to step in. 16 WAPT's Ross Adams explains what he wants and why he says the community can't wait.
Councilman Kenneth Stokes says he just sent a letter to the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Mississippi asking for the agency to help in any way it can after a young woman was found hanging from a tree in an abandoned home in West Jackson.
Anything that they can provide to get this hanging case solved quickly. We need to have someone in handcuffs as soon as yesterday.
The Hinds County coroner identified the woman as 29-year-old Tasia Fortune. Investigators say Fortune's body had been hanging in the tree for 3 to 4 days before someone found it Monday night at the house on Road of Remembrance. Stokes' letter to the U.S. Attorney asked for help finding the suspect and a motive for the killing.
Everywhere you go, they talking about that hanging. I don't care where you go, to the grocery store, to get something to eat, people talking about that hanging.
The Jackson Police Department has said little about the case in the past 4 days. Other than a late Monday night social media post, JPD has been so tight-lipped, they haven't even sent out a press release.
Once upon a time, a press release will have come out quickly because of the sensitive nature of hangings in Mississippi.
All right, let's talk about it. In a Thursday interview with 16 WAPT, Police Chief Rochelle Brackney refused to answer any questions about the hanging investigation.
Councilman Stokes says even if there's no racial element to this hanging, he says given Mississippi's history of lynchings, public officials all across the city need to step up and say this is unacceptable behavior. Reporting from Jackson, Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
A JPD spokesperson says the case remains an active investigation.
It's a lot of unanswered questions. We're talking about a young woman who lost her life less than a half a mile away from where her address was. Her home looked abandoned. We don't really have no updated pictures since, 2023? I did look to see if the mom had something to say. Life took a toll with her as well. Want to send 11 prayers her way as well. We don't know if this drug related. We don't know if this, foul play. I know we all want to assume that racism played a part. But looking at this neighborhood and the people who associated with these homes, I didn't find out one white person. Just want to throw that out there. Want to send 11 prayers to Tasia's family. As more developed, I keep you guys updated. This was the story of a young woman who moved from Kentucky to Mississippi to lose her life before she turned 30 by hanging of a tree. Let me know how you guys feel about this one in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And today, I'll catch you guys on the next one.
The nigga. Like I hate what nigga? Yo, what the fuck? Shut your ass up. Stop. Wait, they're saying I pressed you, didn't do shit. Hang him, his nigga. Damn, bro. Or what? Oh, you're trying to fight? I'm not trying to fight, but wait, no, you don't have my glasses. Shut up, bro. You're a nigga. Shut up. Shut up. Yo, can I get my glasses back? Can I get my glasses back? I don't care about what you're doing, bro. I don't care. I don't. Bro, all right, bro. Chill. Chill, bro. Chill. Chill, bro. Let me get you on that fame ass nigga. You a nigga. I'm not on the internet shit, nigga. My mama nigga. I'm not on that. I don't play the internet shit, nigga. My mama nigga. It's over, it's over, it's over. I don't crib, nigga. It's over, it's over. It's over, it's over.
Speaking of these tethers, you notice on the internet, there's a whole thing now where beta males sit up and relish in being humiliated. That's a new thing now with a lot of these dudes. That's a thing. You know what? There's this streamer, what's his name? This Mexican dude who calls himself the Mexican Chud the Builder. Addy OD, I think that's his name. I'm not trying to give the guy too much clout. So this Mexican cat, he thought he was going to be the new Chud. He was going to try to get some clout by going around filming himself on Kick stream or whatever, using racial epithets towards black people. He thought he was going to be the new Chud and get some clout. And he was on a stream and he was doing all that N-word stuff, walking up to folks, walking around using the N-word. And this fool tried to pull that down in Austin, Texas, ladies and gentlemen. He tried to pull that in Austin, Texas, and some brother beat the brakes off his ass. He got stomped out on his live stream real quick. Shout out to Texas. Yeah, we told you, I already told you what city that stuff, what states that stuff don't really fly in. Yeah, certain states that don't really fly in. So yeah, they stomped him out immediately and ran him up out the damn state. He had to go, he had to bounce. They ran him up out of there. And all for clicks. So yeah, he got whooped on immediately. Yeah, which, okay. Yeah, Texas don't really play around like that. They ain't really gonna sit there and play with your ass and entertain that type of nonsense. Somebody whooped on him.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. But listen, I want y'all to understand something. That's humiliation. That's like a new business model now. We're watching the rise of a new male internet personality type, the humiliation entrepreneur. So these dudes, they're not selling talent. They're not selling knowledge, courage, discipline. They're just selling their own degradation. So, you know, this cat, he understands if he walks into a public place and provoke people and use racial slurs, he'll get slapped up and punched on and beat up. So the humiliation becomes content. You understand? And then they can try to monetize it. So yeah, the embarrassment, that's the product. They look at that as, okay, I can monetize being humiliated. You know how pathetic you got to be if that's your business model? See, back in the day, man, I'm glad I came from a generation where men earned attention through excellence. Now, these dudes relish in being pathetic. Historically, man, respect had a price. A man had to become exceptional at something. A man had to become a great athlete, a great musician, a great businessman, a great scholar, warrior, organizer, provider, community leader. Even entertainers had to develop timing and charisma, originality, stage presence, or whatever. And attention was generally connected to somebody or something that was recognizable, some kind of recognizable ability. So now the internet, they've detached attention from accomplishment. A person, they don't have to be exceptional. So now you just got to be extreme. You don't have to build nothing. You just got to go out and just disrupt shit. You got to be a train wreck. So you don't even have to earn respect. You just got to trigger outrage. So you see a bunch of dudes now, they'll manufacture confrontations that they can't physically handle. And they're not talented enough to hold an audience through excellence. So they have to sit here and put their lives in danger and get beat up and smacked up on and humiliated so that people can acknowledge them. You see, that's a pathetic mindset to have. Just like this tether who called up. That tether who called up, that's a pathetic ass tether. He ain't got nothing going on. So his job is to whine to us and cry like a bitch and lie about women to us. That's pathetic. Any dude who lies about women, you're admitting you're not a man. Sitting up lying about women because you ain't got nothing going on. But we got a whole new generation of these crash outs who will do anything for attention. Charleston White, that's another one. Charleston White is pathetic. You ain't it? Charleston White goes out here and talks all that dumb shit and gets beat up, and he gets beat up in barbershops, and people beating him up on stage. And you go out here and talk shit, but you got one finger on the 911 button. That's pathetic. You understand? That's a pathetic existence. Yeah. And this generation, they've confused visibility with worth. You understand? See, there's a psychological problem. See, social media has created this thing where being seen means that you're important. A man can have no real purpose, no real meaningful relationships, no respect in his community or whatever, no real accomplishments. But if thousands of strangers are watching him, he can temporarily feel significant. And that's addictive. You see, the camera, it focuses like artificial self-esteem. See, without live streaming and all that stuff, they feel these guys are invisible. But when the camera comes on, they got to be loud, reckless, and talk crazy, put themselves in danger, because that gives them a temporary identity. You understand? They can't have normal conversations. They can none of that shit. Everything has to be, you got to put your life in danger. And those kind of dudes, they're very jealous of people like us who can command respect without humiliating themselves. That's why all these punks and people like that don't like me. I get thousands of people listening to me. I ain't got to put my life in danger. I'll sit here and have a casual conversation, and thousands and millions of people are interested in what I have to say. Without me talking reckless, running around yelling, shouting, and acting like a punk. Without me putting my life in danger, without me deliberately doing provocative ass, dangerous shit. Oh, they hate that. They don't like that. Because they can't do that. See, that's rare. Do you know how rare it is? I'm like a unicorn, ladies. I don't like to pat myself on the back. I'm like a damn unicorn. I'm one of the few people that can just sit up and casually have a conversation and just chop up game, and thousands of people will show up and listen. Because in this day and age, look, a lot of these streamers, they just run around doing dumb shit. I'm not really into none of that stuff that these dudes do. Dude, so to me, that shit is corny. That's mad corny to me. You got to do all that so somebody can listen to you? Because you ain't got no talent, you ain't got no wisdom, you ain't got no expertise, you ain't got no game to drop. So you go out here, do weird shit, you put yourself in danger, you get charges on you. With Adrian Broner, those guys. They kind of do these streams. Adrian Broner, he was a fighter, and then he starts streaming, and I'm hearing there's some charges on them dudes now with some women. Is that true? Ain't there some kind of charges on them dudes now? They out here doing this weird shit with women, and now some women have put some charges on them. It's some bullshit going on. Dude, come on, man. Yeah, dude's drunk and doing weird shit with women. You got to do all that to get people to watch you? Damn, man, that's corny, man. Yeah, and I knew that was going to happen. I can kind of see the way dude was moving, the way those guys getting drunk and they bringing all them women around. I'm like, oh, that's a lawsuit or whatever. That's a charge waiting to happen. Yeah. But this is what cats got to do now in order to get an audience. They got to do weird shit now. Yeah, it's like walking liabilities. You know? And again, that's why a lot of these folks are real jealous of me, because I don't have to do all that and I can still get a large audience. I value the fact that I ain't got to do all that weird shit. And I've been in my lane for decades. Family, I was one of the first people to start podcasting. I was in the podcast game early on, and I've always been able to just command an audience by just chopping up game and standing on business. And people can respect that. I'm a respect person. It's going to be respect with me. You understand? My thing is people going to come at me with respect. I respect myself. I ain't going to humiliate myself. And I stand on business. I've been talking the same way. If people have been following me, I've raised some of y'all. Y'all know I've been doing this. If y'all can pull up my podcast from 20 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. I got podcasts from 20 years ago. I'm talking the same game I'm talking now. I'm the same OG. I mean, some of these people, I've raised some of the people in here, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah? I don't do that humiliation shit. I ain't got to do that. You understand? That's why the Myron Gaines and those, they don't like me. Because Myron Gaines, they gotta jump on women and they gotta do all types of weird shit in order to get views. Sit up here doing all types of racial epithets. Get out of here, cornball. And these dudes, because they do all of this reckless shit, you can't move and shake on the streets like that. They all gotta watch their back. You gotta, you become a walking target. You can't move and shake on the streets like that. Yeah, you got to walk around with bulletproof vests. And come on, dude. But understand, man, the internet allows cowardice to disguise itself as courage. A lot of these dudes kind of try to present themselves as fearless because they go out here and try to provoke strangers. That ain't courage because, a lot of them got police on speed dial. We see what happens the minute somebody press them, they get to yell about the damn police, come help me. Just like this Mexican dude who went and got stomped out, running around yelling the N-word, and immediately got stomped out and started running. Charleston White does that too. He talks all that tough shit, and then when shit gets heavy, he runs to the police. He's one of them police pimps. That's what they used to call him back in the day. That's a police pimp. Provoking shit and then running to the police. Just like Chud the Builder. With Chud the Builder, some real cats out there caught up on his ass down there in Nashville. He was over there in the trenches trying to get some gas, and some reputables ran up on him. He yelled on the phone to the police because somebody else had some weapons on them. They were like, "Yeah, I got weapons too. So what's happening?" You see? So these dudes are not courageous. Running around here yelling and talking crazy with your finger on the 911 button, that ain't bravery. Bravery is when you accept danger for a meaningful purpose. Y'all just accept danger for clicks. A civil rights activist risking his safety to challenge injustice, that's courageous. A firefighter running into a building, that's courageous. A man defending his family, that's courageous. A man defending his community, that's courageous. A man running down on the police and checking prosecutors and getting folks out of jail, which is what we do, that's courageous. Just screaming reckless shit on the internet because you're trying to get some viral footage, that ain't courageous. Because when shit gets hot, you hop on the phone to the police, you're not courageous. You understand, a lot of these dudes, man, they're products of social isolation. These are dudes, man, without the internet and them doing all that bullshit, they are invisible. They are literally nobodies. They ain't got no talent. They ain't got no skills. They are nobodies. You got to do dumb shit in order to get people to look at you. That's a shortcut. Instead of going out here and getting some life experiences and giving some game based on your life experiences, which is what wisdom is, you're like, let me take a shortcut. If I just do something stupid, I can get somebody to watch me. Yeah. So these guys have used humiliation as a business model. Yeah. They got this mindset that any attention is good attention. See, we're dealing with people who think being known as a loser is still a step up from being completely unknown. See, the silence of irrelevance, that's scarier to them than the sting of a physical altercation. Because if you get beat up, you can still get attention. That's why these dudes get beat up and be on the internet. I'm still alive. I'm still alive. Dudes out here getting beat up and slapped up and dude. And then they try to use that as content. Again, I'd have been in court with these dudes, literally crying about me beating up on them and smacking them up. I'm like, well, it's some real different niggas out here. It's a whole different form of bitch ass dudes out here. I wasn't around these kind of cats when I was out here. It's a whole different vibe now. Yeah. These dudes relish in being emasculated. Yeah. The clout is a drug to these dudes. They'll do anything for clout. There's no code of conduct. So I'm from an era where there's a code of conduct with men. It was about respect. To be a man, it was about having boundaries, people respecting your physical space. Man, these dudes, they've abandoned that code because the internet, they reward shameless punks. They reward that shit. So there's no immediate community enforced consequences for these dudes if they lack dignity because they're online all the time. See, online, that's like its own little community. You can monetize that and just become a humiliated punk, and you can still make a couple of bucks. Now, when you hit the streets, you're in danger. That's why these dudes, the minute they try to go outside, shit goes left for them. But it's a whole new vibe and a whole new game out here, man. It's a whole different thing. Yeah. And thank goodness I come from another generation. Man. Yeah, the YT people, they're the kings. But the YT people, they've always been cowards like that. The white supremacists, they've been cowards like that. They've always been cowards like that. We, on the other hand, we've known better. To be a man is all about standing on business. We knew not to take on their characteristics of cowardice. But there's a whole plethora of people who take on that shit. All right, let me get some family in here. All right. Y'all raise your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Raise your hands. Let's get y'all in here. Throw them hands up. Let's talk to you. All right. Right, somebody hit it right on the money. Too clever, too smooth. Yeah, we grew up outside, and that's the thing, man. Yeah, I come from a generation where, we didn't have the internet. I came from a generation where we did not have the internet. In order to socialize with people, you had to go out here in the streets and interact with people. You had to physically be around your peers. And we have those parents, remember, who made us go outside. We couldn't stay in the house. Our parents, listen, as Gen Xers, our parents made us take our ass outside. We couldn't just lay all up in the house and shit. That wasn't an option. And mom knew that, hey, go outside. Go outside and get some sun. Go outside and get some air. They made us go outside. You understand? And if there was an altercation, we couldn't run in the house and be on no motherfucking internet or just hide in the house. We couldn't do that. We couldn't go hide and mama, they about to get me. Nigga, do you, my mama? Get your ass outside and throw them things. Our parents made us get outside, and you better handle that. We come from a generation where our parents wouldn't let us be no damn punks. You dig? We couldn't be punks at all. We had to go make it happen. But it's a lot of them. Well, you start fighting a lot of them. He bigger than me. Go pick up a stick. I'm telling you, our parents made us do that, man. And here's the thing. Some of the people that we fought, we ended up becoming very good friends with. One of my best friends growing up, it was a cat that I fought. We were fighting each other, and we became friends. We started a damn rap group with each other. We became friends. You know? Y'all think about growing up, some of the people that became your best friend, you were fighting their ass at first, and then y'all got cool, and then y'all started hanging out. That's how the game used to be back in the day. That it was a respect thing. If you stood up to cats, you got respect. Yeah? You had to stand up for yourself. That's how you got respect. If you took an L, you take an L, but you still stand up for yourself. Now we just got dudes who hide like bitches, cry like bitches. Man, it's a whole different game, man. And I know a lot of you are tethers. I know a lot of you are tethers, right? And y'all come from places where you've been punked out and you have to flee and all that shit. I get it. I get it. But yeah, our parents made us get up out that house. You couldn't run in the house scared, talking about somebody about to do something to you. You had to go out there and handle that. Yeah. And you couldn't be out talking all reckless to cats. You couldn't be out in the streets running your damn mouth. Yeah, all that internet e-banging shit, that don't work in real life. That's why it goes left. These dudes, that's the thing. The internet has created Twitter thugs and e-gangsters. If you talk reckless like that in the streets, you better stand on it. And these dudes can't stand on it. You can't stand on that. You know good and well you can't talk all that reckless shit in the streets to dudes. Yeah? You see? Man. Yeah, hold on. Tether, you're not going to, you either get on, you're going to say what you need to say or you're going to get blocked. You're not going to do that. And you're that Earth Speaks dude. And I know you're the Earth Speaks. Get on, dude. You're not going to sit here trolling. I'm going to block you. I know you that old dirty mouth Earth Speaks dude. Well, I'm just going to block you. Just get on your other thing because you're not going to sit here trolling. I'll just block you right now. That's one of these punks now. You're not going to sit here just saying.
Go figure. Follow me.